then in him be found. Rest in his righteousness alone, faultless to stand before the throne. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand.
We now have the unveiling of the photo. Wilson John ஐயா அவர்களுடைய இந்த புகைப்படத்தை நாம் இப்பொழுதும் திறந்து வைக்கவிருக்கின்றோம். திருமதி ஏஞ்சலினா வில்சன் அவர்களை முன் வரும்படியாக அழைக்கின்றேன்.
யாவரும் எழுந்து நிற்கலாம். Kindly stand.
Let's observe a moment of silence. கர்த்தருடைய வாழ்வில் செய்த பாராட்டின இரக்கத்தை நினைவு கூர்ந்து அவருடைய அன்பினால் பிரயோஜனமான இந்த குடும்பத்தின் மக்களை கடவுளுடைய சமூகத்தில் வைத்து இவருடைய வாழ்வுக்காகவும் சாட்சிக்காகவும் கர்த்தருக்கு நன்றிகளை எடுப்போம்.
ஜெபம் செய்வோம். உயிர்த்தெழுதலும் ஜீவனும் நானே என்று சொல்லி ஆண்டவரே, மரணத்தின் கண்ணீரோடு அந்த இழப்பு நிமித்தம் துயரத்திலே வாழ்ந்த குடும்பத்திற்கு அப்பா உம்முடைய வார்த்தை ஜீவனுள்ள வார்த்தையாக நீர் பகிர்ந்தளித்த ஆண்டவரே உம்மை துதிக்கின்றோம், ஸ்தோத்திரிக்கின்றோம். விசேஷித்த விதமாய் இதோ திருவாளர் வில்சன் ஜான் ஐயா அவருடைய வாழ்வுக்காக உம்மை நாங்கள் ஸ்தோத்திரிக்கின்றோம். அவர்கள் இந்த உலக வாழ்விலே வாழ்ந்த ஒவ்வொரு காலங்களுக்காக நன்றி செலுத்துகின்றோம். அவருடைய வாழ்வின் எல்லா அனுபவங்களோடும் நீர் இருந்து ஆண்டவரே எல்லா பள்ளம் மேடுகளின் மத்தியிலே கர்த்தாவே அவருடைய பாதைகளை செவ்வைப்படுத்தி அவர்களை நடத்தி செல்லும்படியாக நீர் அவர்களை ஏந்தி சுமந்து வந்திரே அதற்காய் ஸ்தோத்திரிக்கின்றோம். அவர்களுடைய வாழ்வை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளும்படியாக நீர் தந்த மேலான உறவுகளுக்காக உமக்கு நாங்கள் நன்றி படைக்கின்றோம். அவருடைய பெற்றோருக்காக ஆண்டவரே, அவருடைய உடன்பிறப்புகளுக்காக ஆண்டவரே, இன்னுமாய் கர்த்தாவே அவருடைய வாழ்விலே ஆண்டவரே ஒரே மாம்சமாக வாழும்படியாக ஆண்டவரே இதோ முதல்வர் அம்மாவாக இருக்கக்கூடிய ஆண்டவரே இதோ ஏஞ்சலினா அம்மா அவர்களுக்காக ஆண்டவரே நீர் தந்த அருமையான பிள்ளைகளுக்காக உமக்கு நாங்கள் நன்றி படைக்கின்றோம். இவர்களுடைய வாழ்வில் அவர்கள் ஏற்படுத்தின நன்மையான தாக்கங்களுக்காக உமக்கு நாங்கள் நன்றி படைக்கின்றோம் சுவாமி. அப்பா, இந்த வாழ்விலே நாங்கள் வாழுகின்ற பொழுது உம்முடைய ஜீவ சுவாசத்தை எங்களுக்கு தந்து உம்முடைய சாயலை உம்முடைய உருவை எங்களுக்கு தந்து உம்மை போலவே நாங்கள் வாழ்வதற்கான கிருபைகளை தந்து நீர் நடத்தி வந்திருக்கின்றீர். இவர்களை கொண்டு நீர் நிறைவேற்றின உம்முடைய இறை திட்டங்களுக்காக நன்றி செலுத்துகின்றோம். ஆண்டவரே, இவர்களின் வழியாக ஆண்டவரே பெற்றுக்கொண்ட ஒவ்வொரு நன்மையான ஆசீர்வாதங்களுக்காக இவருடைய வாழ்வின் பொருட்டு ஆண்டவரே இவர்கள் செய்த ஒவ்வொரு சேவையின் நிமித்தம் பெற்ற ஒவ்வொரு நன்மைகளுக்காகவே நாங்கள் ஸ்தோத்திரிக்கின்றோம். ஆண்டவரே, இவர்களுடைய மறைவின் நிமித்தம் ஆண்டவரே துயரத்தில் ஆழ்ந்திருக்கின்ற இவ்வேளையில் இவருடைய திருவுருவ படத்தை இவர்கள் காணுகின்ற பொழுதெல்லாம் நன்மையான நினைவுகள், இவருடைய வாழ்வின் நற்குணங்கள் ஆண்டவரே நல்ல தன்மைகளை கர்த்தாவே தொடர்ந்து ஆண்டவரே அவர்களுக்கு நினைப்பூட்டுதலின் வழியே அவர்கள் உம்முடைய சாயலை கர்த்தாவை கண்டுகொள்வதற்கான கிருபைகளை தந்து இவர்களுடைய நற்கிரியைகளை கர்த்தாவை தொடர்ந்து நடப்பிப்பதன் வழியே கர்த்தாவே உமக்கு சாட்சியுள்ள வாழ்வை வில்சன் ஐயா அவர்கள் வாழ்ந்தது போல அவருடைய குடும்பத்தின் உறவுகள் வாழ்ந்திடும்படியாக ஆண்டவரே நல்ல நினைவுகள், நல்ல உறவுகள் ஆண்டவரே அவருடைய எல்லா செயல்பாடுகளையும் நல்ல அடிச்சுவடுகளை பின்பற்றி கர்த்தாவே உமக்கு சாட்சியாக வாழ்வதற்கான கிருபைகளையும் ஆறுதலையும் ஆசீர்வாதத்தையும் சமாதானத்தையும் தந்து நீர் வழி நடத்தி ஆசீர்வதித்திட வேண்டும் என்றும் மீட்பரும் இரட்சகருமாகிய கிறிஸ்துவின் பெயரில் வேண்டிக் கொள்ளுகின்றோம் எங்கள் அன்பு நிறைந்த நல்ல ஆண்டவரே, ஆமென்.
தயவு கூர்ந்து அமருங்கள். Kindly be seated. As we now remember Mr. Wilson John and affirm that he is in God's keeping, கர்த்தருடைய சமூகத்தில் இருக்கிறார் என்பதை விசுவாசித்தவர்களாக இந்த இடத்துல நாம் கூடியிருக்கின்றோம். தொடர்ந்து அவரை அதிகமாக நேசித்தவர்கள் இந்த இடத்துல இருக்கின்றீர்கள். அவருடைய உறவுகள், அவரை பற்றி சில வார்த்தைகளை பேச வேண்டும், அவருடைய சாட்சியை நாங்கள் பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்று வந்திருக்கிற உங்களை அன்போடு கூட வரவேற்கின்றேன். உங்களுக்கான உறவை பற்றியும் உங்களுடைய பெயர்களையும் மகள் வேலண்டினா அவர்கள் சொல்லுவார்கள். அவர்கள் அழைக்கும்போது நீங்கள் முன் வந்து அவரை பற்றி பேசுங்கள். ஒரு சில வார்த்தைகள் முடிந்த அளவுக்கு நேரத்தை அனுசரித்தும் நீங்கள் பேசும்படியாக கேட்டுக்கொள்கின்றேன். ஐநோ நிச்சயமாக அவரை பற்றி பேசணுன்னா நிறைய இருக்கும். டைம் முடியல அப்படின்னா பேசுங்க. ஆனால் உங்களால் கொஞ்ச நேரம் பேச முடியும்னா ப்ளீஸ் டூ. தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you so much for being here. So I request my uncle and Mr. Wilson, my dad's first younger brother, Alexander John. He lives in Chennai, and I think they've shared a very close bond as three brothers, but the most I know my dad talks about is his older one and a lot of memories, so I'm sure he has a lot to share. So வாங்க சித்தப்பா.
ஆண்டவர் இந்த ஒரு நல்ல தருணத்தை கொடுத்ததுக்காக ஆண்டவருக்கு நன்றி செலுத்துகிறேன். 2 நிமிஷம் பேசினாலும் அழாமல் பேசணுங்கிற ஒரு வாஞ்சையோடு இருக்கிறேன். எங்கள் அண்ணன் வந்து எங்கள் அம்மா அப்பாவுக்கு முதல் பிள்ளை, ஒரு ஆர்மி மேன் அண்ட் அ டீச்சர். அவங்களுக்கு பிறந்த ஃபஸ்ட்டு பையன். ஒரு ஹம்பிளஸ்ட் ஒரு ஃபேமிலி. தாயும் தகப்பனும் தன்னை பெரியதாக காண்பிக்கிறதுக்கு எந்த முயற்சியும் செய்யாத ஒரு குடும்பம். ஆண்டவர் சரியான வேளையில் எங்கள் அண்ணனை இந்த ஜெனரேஷனில், என்னுடைய ஜென்ரேஷனில் ஃபஸ்ட்டு தேவனை ஏற்றுக்கொள்கிற சொந்த ரட்சகராக, ஒரு மீட்பின் அனுபவம் பெற்றுக்கொள்ளுகிற ஒரு பையனாக அவனுக்கு ஒரு அனுபவம் கிடைச்சது. அவனுக்கு பேர் எப்படி வச்சாங்கன்னா, எங்கள் அம்மாவுக்கு ஒரு பென் ப்ரெசன்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, வில்சன் அதில் நேம் இருந்தது. ஆனால் வேதம் என்ன சொல்லுதுன்னா, தாயின் கருவில் உருவாகும் முன்னமே உன்னை பெயர் சொல்லி அழைத்தேன்னு. ஆண்டவர் வந்து அந்த பெயரை எங்கள் அம்மாவுக்கும் எங்கள் அப்பாவுக்கும் எந்த வழியாக கொடுத்துருக்காருன்னு தெரியலை. ஆனால் வில்சன் அப்படிங்கிறது நல்ல ஒரு வில் பவர் உள்ள ஒரு சன். அவன் இறந்து போகிறதுக்கு ஒரு நாளுக்கு முன்னாடி வென்ஸ்டே மார்னிங் நான் இங்கேருந்து போகிறப்ப அவன் சொன்னான், நான் எப்படியும் வாழ்வேன், நான் இன்னொரு டாக்டர்கிட்ட நான் ஒரு கன்சல்டேஷன் நான் எடுக்க போகிறேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னான். கடைசி வரைக்கும் விடாமுயற்சி உடையவன். இங்கே என் கூட அந்த ஏஜில் விளையாடி இருந்தவங்க அநேகர் இருந்தால் தெரியும், எத்தனை தடவை ஒரு சில இடத்துல டிஃபீட் ஆக ஒரு சான்ஸ் கிடச்சிதுன்னா அவன் 10 தடவை அலசி எங்கேயாவது ஒரு இடத்துல வின்னிங்க்கு ஒரு சான்ஸ் இருக்குன்னு சொல்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு பர்சன். அப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு சகோதரன் ஆண்டவர் ஏற்றுக்கொண்ட உடனே என்னையும் ஆண்டவருக்குள்ளே வழி நடத்தினான். அதுதான் எனக்கு வந்து மிகப்பெரிய, இன்றைக்கும் ஆண்டவர் வந்து எல்லா நன்மையும் செஞ்சுருக்கிறார் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறதுக்கு, ஆண்டவரை விடாமல் பற்றி கொள்கிறதுக்கு இப்படி ஒரு சகோதரன் எனக்கு கிடைச்சது பெரிய பாக்கியம். அதுவும் ஒரு சொந்த அண்ணன் வந்து ஒரு ஸ்பிரிச்சுவல் காரியங்களை நடத்திட்டு போகிறது மாதிரி ஒரு பாக்கியம் யாருக்கும் கிடைக்கல. அதே போல் நான் அடுத்து நடத்தணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி என்னுடைய தம்பியை நடத்தினேன். ஆனால் இந்த நேரத்தில் எங்கள் அண்ணன் இன்னொன்று என்ன செஞ்சான்னா, எந்த சோதனையான நேரங்கள்லையும் அவன் கூட ஒரு 7 வருஷம் நானும் அவனும் சென்னையில் ஒன்றா இருந்தோம். அப்படி இருந்த நேரத்தில் வசனங்கள் தான் பேசுவானே தவிர வார்த்தைகள், வேத காரியங்கள், பாடல்கள், வேதத்தை தவிர கற்றுக் கொடுத்துறதுக்கு எங்கள் அண்ணனுக்கு இன்னொன்று தெரியாது. எனக்கும் என்னோட எந்த ஒரு காரியமானாலும் தேடி வாங்கிக்கிறதுக்கு என்னோட அண்ணனை தவிர வேற ஒன்றும் இல்லை. ஒரு தடவை ட்ரெயினில் போகிறப்போ இன்னொருத்தர் என்னை அடிக்கிறதுக்கு வந்தாங்க. அப்போ எங்கள் அண்ணன், நான் நினைக்கல அவன் அவ்வளோ ஓசிஃபரஸ் ஒரு லவ் இருக்குமான்ட்டு. அவன்கிட்ட சண்டை போட்டு அவனை கீழே தள்ளி விடுறதுக்கு ஆயத்தமாக இருந்தான். அப்போ நான் கேட்டேன், அண்ணன் திருப்பி அவன் நாளைக்கு என்ன அடிச்சிட்டான்னா, நீ கவலைப்படாத, நான் இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் ஒன்று தொட விட மாட்டேன், ஆண்டவர் வந்து நம்ம கூட இருக்கிறார் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு எந்த எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம் எண்ட்லேயும் நடத்திட்டு போனான். என்ன மட்டும் இல்லை, அதுக்கப்புறம் தொடர்ந்து எங்களுடைய ஜென்ரேஷனில் அநேகர் ரட்சிக்கப்படுகிறதற்கு அதிகமான ஜெபம் பண்ணான். அவன் சொன்னான், நம்ம 2 பேரும் ஜெபம் பண்ணுவோம், எல்லாரும் ரட்சிக்கப்படணும் அப்படின்ட்டு. அது மாத்திரம் இல்லை, அந்த நேரங்களில் நிறைய மிஷினரிஸ் நாங்கள் பேச்சுலராக இருந்தோம், எங்கள் கூட வந்து தங்கியிருப்பாங்க. அவங்களுக்கு நல்லா உபசரணங்கிறது நீங்கள் அநேகமாக அனுபவிச்சிருக்கலாம் எங்கள் அண்ணனுடைய வாழ்க்கையிலேருந்து. யாரையும் எந்த விதத்துலையும் எப்படியாவது ஹானர் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறவன். அதே வேளையில் கோபமும் படுவான். ஆனால் கோபப்படுத்த அடுத்த செகண்ட் இறங்கி வந்து உங்களை அரவணைக்கிற அப்படி ஒரு மனுஷனை உலகத்தில் எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு நீங்கள் யாரும் பார்க்க முடியாது. யாராவது ஒரு நேரத்தில் ஒருத்தரை திட்டுனா அடுத்த செகண்ட் நம்ம அவங்கள விட்டு கொஞ்சம் விலகி இருக்கணும்னு நினைப்போம். ஆனால் எங்கள் அண்ணன் அப்படி இல்லை. அடுத்த செகண்டே வந்து கட்டி அணைச்சி முத்தமிடுற அளவுக்கு ஒரு நல்ல மனுஷன். அவனை நிறைய நேரங்கள் நிறைய காரியங்கள் பேசலாம். அது என்னால் இதுக்கு மேலே எப்படி கண்டினியூ பண்ண முடியும் அப்படின்னு தெரியல. நிறைய இன்சிடெண்ட் நான் உங்களுக்கு சொல்லலாம். ஆனால் எல்லாத்துக்கும் மத்தியில் எங்கள் அண்ணன் நிற்கிறது. இன்னொரு விஷயம் நான் சொல்லப்போனால், அவன் சின்ன வயசில் ரொம்ப சின்ன பிள்ளையாக இருந்தப்போ சென்னை வர வேண்டியிருந்தது. அப்போ கல்கட்டா வந்திருந்தான். அப்போ சென்னை வர்றப்போ என்ன சொன்னான் அப்படின்னா, எங்கிட்ட நான் இங்கே வீட்டில் இருக்கேங்கிற மாதிரியே நீங்கள் காமிச்சிக்கங்க, அப்போ தான் வந்து சின்ன அழாமல் இருப்பா, உங்களால் மேனேஜ் பண்ண முடியும், நான் ஒரு 2 hours வெளியே போயிட்டு வந்துடுறேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு செட்டப்லாம் பண்ணிவிட்டு சின்னுவை மேலே கூப்பிட்டு போய் ஏதாவது ஃபுட்டு கொடுக்குற மாதிரி வந்துட்டு கீழே இறங்கி போயிருப்பான். அவன் ஒரு 10 minutes வந்துட்டு எங்கள் அப்பா அப்படின்னு ஒரே அழுவா. ஆனால் அந்த அளவுக்கு ஒரு பாசமாக ஒரு பிள்ளைங்களை இதை விட ஒரு ஹானர் பண்ண முடியாது. நான் நினச்சேன் எங்கள் அப்பா தான் வந்து எங்களை ஹானர் பண்ணாங்க, பயங்கரமாக நேசிப்பாங்க. நாங்கள் வில்சன் சொன்னான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி ஒரு பிச்சைக்காரனை அனுப்பினாலும் எங்கள் அப்பா ரொம்ப கனப்படுத்தி வாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நல்லா வெல்கம் பண்ணுவாங்க. இல்லை யார் அனுப்பிச்சிருந்தாலும் உங்கள் பிள்ளைங்க வில்சன் சொன்னால், அலெக்ஸ் சொன்னால், சுரேஷ் சொன்னான்னா ஹானர் பண்ணுவாங்க. அதை விட பெருசாக எங்களுடைய அண்ணன் அவங்க 2 பிள்ளைங்களையும் ஹானர் பண்ணலாம். இது சின்னுவை பண்ணது. ஆனால் சின்ட்டுவை பண்ணது நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, அவன் லட்டு குட்டி லட்டு கண்ணா பயங்கரமாக நேசித்தான். அதுக்கு அளவே இல்லை. அவன் தூக்கி சுமந்தான். அவனுக்காகவே அவன் படிப்பு பண்ணணுங்கிறதுக்காக முழு நேரமும் அவன் கார் ஓட்டிட்டு அவனால் நீ மெடிசன் எடுத்துக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறப்போ நான் எடுத்துக்கிறேன், முதல்ல அவனை எப்படியாவது படிக்க வச்சிடுறேன், அவனை கொண்டு வந்துடுறேன். அவனோட கஷ்டங்களை புரிஞ்சு அநேக காரியங்கள் செஞ்சான். ஒரு நல்ல தகப்பனாக பண்ணான். எவ்வளவு தூரம் அவன் நல்ல ஹஸ்பண்டாக மதினிக்கு இருந்தான்னு தெரியல. ஆனால் எந்த நேரத்துலையும் எங்கள் மதினி அவன் சிரித்தாலும் கோவப்பட்டாலும் ஒரு நாளும் இது பண்ணதில்லை. அதுவும் இல்லாமல் இந்த சுகமில்லாமல் இருந்த நாட்களில் இந்த குடும்பம் சந்தித்த ஒரு காரியங்களை ஒரு நல்ல மனுஷனாக இல்லாத இருந்தால் அந்த மனுஷனை தூக்கி எறிகிறதுக்கு யாரும் தயங்க மாட்டாங்க. ஒருவேளை அந்த மனுஷனும் நல்லவன், அவனுக்கு கிடைச்ச குடும்பமும் ரொம்ப நல்லதாக இருந்ததுனால அவனுடைய காலங்கள் எல்லாத்தையும் சுமந்து செல்றதுக்கு இதுக்கு எல்லாம் ஆண்டவர் வந்து ஒரு கிருபை கொடுத்துருந்ததுனால அதெல்லாம் ஓவர் கம் பண்ண முடிஞ்சது. இதை விட ஒரு பெருசு ஒன்றும் இல்லை. ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷனில் எங்கள் அம்மாட்ட வந்து எங்கள் ரிலேட்டிவ் ஒருத்தவங்க சொன்னாங்க, நீங்கள் வந்து பைபிளில் ஒரு வசனம் இருக்குது, 3வது அதிகாரம் 3வது யோவானில் இருக்கிறது, என் பிள்ளைகள் சத்தியத்தில் நடக்கிறார்கள் என்பதை கேள்விப்படுகிறதை பார்க்கிலும் வேற எனக்கு பாக்கியம் இல்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்லுங்கள். அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு பிள்ளைகள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு கடைசி வரைக்கும் இத்தனை சுகமில்லாமல் இருந்தவங்க நீங்கள் எல்லோரும் நிறைய நான் கேட்டிருக்கேன், ஆண்டவர் ஏன் எனக்கு இந்த பலவீனத்தை கொடுத்தாருன்னு. கடைசி வரைக்கும் கடைசி நிமிஷம் வரைக்கும் ஒரு நாளும் ஆண்டவரை பற்றி சொன்னதில்லை. ஒருவேளை பெருமையாக பேசாமல் இருந்திருக்கலாம், கடைசி நாட்களில் அமைதியாக கொஞ்சம் ஸ்பிரிச்சுவலாக அமைதியாக இருந்தான். ஆனால் எல்லா நாள்லையும் ஆண்டவர் வந்து அவனுக்கு நன்மையான காரியங்கள், ஆண்டவரை பற்றி ஒரு கிஞ்சித்தும் ஒரு செகண்டு கூட அவன் தப்பாக நினச்சதில்லை. அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு பாக்கியமான வாழ்க்கை நமக்கு கிடைக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். இது இன்னும் அதிகமாக சொல்லலாம். ஆனால் ஆண்டவர் இந்த காரியங்களை கொண்டு நம்ம எல்லாருக்கும் அதை முன்னோடியாக நிறுத்தி நாம் அந்த தேவனுடைய வழியில் நடக்கிறதுக்கு நமக்கு உதவி செய்வார். ஆமீன்.
Thank you, Chittappa. That really took us back. And I didn't know that my dad was a person that would go and bang anybody for his brother. And now I know where I get it from. I'm a very protective older sister and a big rebel. So I think that comes from my dad. So to go for the next is my uncle, my mother's second older brother, Michael. And so we fondly call him Mickey, and he was, I don't remember the time frame, but he spent a lot of time with us before he was married. So yeah, I think he will have something to tell.
ஐம் சாரி, நான் தமிழில் பேசுவேன், ஆனால் என்னால் மக்கள்கிட்ட பேச முடியாது. ஸோ என்னை மன்னிக்க வேண்டுகிறேன். Nevertheless, thank you, Cheryl. At the outset, I'd like to express my deepest sympathies to the one and the only girl in the Isaacs family, Miss Angelina Wilson. We are 3 brothers and 1 sister. She's my second mother to me. It's great. I really appreciate that. And now, presently, she is the principal of St. John's. I appreciate that. Wilson, my brother-in-law, is a man of prayer. And he was very bold. And he loved his family immensely. I could feel it. I spent a lot of time with this family. It's just wonderful. I'd say that this is an amazing death because God has forewarned that your time has come before you could attain the heavenly glory. So be prepared. And it came just like that. So I declare that he is a child of God. No doubt about it. And Wilson had the tenacity of a fox terrier, be it business or be it his own family. He brought them up pretty well. He used to correct Cheryl. I know Cheryl as a small infant, rather, and she still says that he's my loving uncle. I appreciate that. And now I would like to express my deepest sympathies to my sister, Angelina Wilson, my nephew, Andronicus, my niece, Cheryl Valentina John. I'm sure they're going to move ahead, sans Wilson John, but with his strength, I'm sure they'll make it. Now, I thank you one and all for being here to share the grief with my sister, who is a calm and composed lady right from day one. I know her from 0 because she was born after me, but I don't reveal that. I still say that I'm younger than her. Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate that and love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think he really praised my mother, and through this journey, if there's one person that deserves praise and love from everybody, it is my mother, Angelina, because what she went through, I think, is unimaginable. I cannot process what she went through, and if I'm half as good as her in my future, I think I'm good to go. And for the next person is my aunt, and she is his mother's, my Archie's younger sister's first daughter, Vijayatte. I call her Vijayatte. So Vijayatte, please come forward. I requested her on a very short notice to say, because I heard that they were close as, cousins during their childhood.
கர்த்தருடைய பரிசுத்த நாமத்துக்கு மகிமை உண்டாவதாக. அண்ணனை சின்னதுலேருந்து எனக்கு தெரியும். எங்கள் வீட்டில் பெரியம்மாவோட தங்கச்சி அவங்க தான் எங்கள் அம்மா. பெரியம்மா வீட்டில் 3 பிள்ளைங்க, 3 பசங்க. எங்கள் வீட்டில் 2 பிள்ளைங்க, நான் மூத்த பொண்ணு, எனக்கு அடுத்து ஒரு தங்கச்சி. அதனால் எங்கள் 2 ஃபேமிலியுமே சின்னதுலேருந்தே, ஏன்னா அவங்களோட அம்மா எங்கள் அம்மாவோடைய ஸ்டடி டைம்ஸில் இறந்து போனதுனால எங்கள் பெரியம்மா தான் எங்கள் அம்மாவுக்கு ஒரு மதர் மாதிரி இருந்தாங்க. ஸோ தே டூ வேர் க்ளோஸ் டுகெதர். அதனால் சின்னதுலேருந்தே நாங்கள் எப்போல்லாம் டைம் கிடைக்குதோ அப்போ அம்மா விகே புதூர் போவோன்னு, வீரகேரளம் புதூர் தான் பெரியம்மா இருந்தது, அங்கே கூட்டிகிட்டு போவாங்க. அங்கே நான் பார்த்தது 3 பிள்ளைங்க, எங்கள் அண்ணன், அலெக்ஸ் அண்ணன், சுரேஷ் எனக்கு தம்பி. அப்போ வில்சனை நான் சின்னதில் நான் ரொம்ப நோட்டீஸ் பண்ணதில்லை. நான் ஸ்கூலிங் டைமில் ஐ ஸ்டார்டட் நோட்டீஸிங் ஹிம். எப்படின்னா, அண்ணன் அப்போ காலேஜ் படிச்சுட்ருப்பாங்க, நான் +2 படிச்சுட்டு இருந்தேன். அந்த டைமில் வந்து எனக்கு நான் காலேஜில் ஸ்கூலில் ஹாஸ்டலில் இருந்தனால எனக்கு வந்து தெர் இஸ் நோ சோர்ஸ் தட் ஐ கேன் கோ அவுட் அண்ட் டூ எனி திங் ஃபார் மீ. அப்போ வில்சன் என்னை செகண்ட் சாட்டர்டே பார்க்க வர்றப்பெல்லாம் அப்போ வந்து ஹீ யூஸ் டு advise me, he used to teach me all the things. அப்போ ஒரு தடவை வந்து வில்சனை நான் வந்து வெளியில் போய் எனக்கு இன்செக்ட் பாக்ஸ் பண்ண முடியாதுண்ணே, எனக்கு என்ன பண்ணுறதுன்னு தெரில, எனக்கு சப்மிட் பண்ண வேண்டி இருக்குது, எனக்கு ஐ டோன்ட் நோ வாட் டு டூ, தே நெவர் ஈவன் டாட் மீ ஹவு டு டூ இட் ஆல்சோ அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறப்ப அதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் கவலைப்படாத, ஐ வில் மேக் இட் ஃபார் யூன்னு நெக்ஸ்ட்டு வீக்கு he made it, that insect box, he prepared it and brought it for me. That is not நான் பண்ணது இல்லை, அண்ணன் பண்ணது, அதை தான் நான் சப்மிட் பண்ணேன். இன்னொன்று நான் வந்து நோட்டீஸ் பண்ண ஆரம்பித்தது, பெரியப்பா ரூமுக்கு நான் போகிறப்போ அண்ணன் வந்து காலேஜ் டேஸ்லேயே வந்து தன்னுடைய ஹார்ட்டை வந்து கர்த்தருக்கு கொடுத்து அவங்க வந்து கர்த்தருடைய வழியில் நடக்கிறாங்கன்றது ஸ்லோலி ஐ ஸ்டார்டட் ரியலைசிங் இட். அப்போ எனக்கு தெரியாது, ஏன்னா நான் வந்து +2 படிக்கிறப்ப தான் ஐ கேவ் மை ஹார்ட் டு மை லார்ட். ஸோ அப்போ தான் ஃபெய்த்துக்குள்ளே நான் வளர்ந்துட்டு இருந்தப்போ ஐ யூஸ் டு வாட்ச் அண்ணன். என்னென்னா அவங்க வந்து காஸ்பல் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் கூட ஹீ யூஸ் டு கோ மினிஸ்ட்ரி வைஸ், ஹீ யூஸ் டு பி இன் கான்டாக்ட். பிளெஸ்ஸிங்கில் வந்து ஸ்டான்லி அங்கிள் அவங்க வந்து சொல்லுவாங்க, ஸ்டான்லி அண்ணன் இங்கே வந்திருக்காங்க, நான் அந்த மீட்டிங் போயிருக்கேன் அப்படின்னா நான் நினைப்பேன் அது யார் ஸ்டான்லி அண்ணன் யாரை பற்றி பேசுகிறாங்க அப்படின்னு. ஐ திங்க் அதுக்கு பிறகு தான் வந்து வி ஸ்டார்டட் கெட்டிங் தட் பிளெஸ்ஸிங் மேகசின் டு அவர் ஹவுஸ். அப்படி வந்து என்னோட ஃபெய்த் லைஃப்லையும் ஹீ இம்பேக்டட். என்னோட ஃபெய்த் லைஃப்பில் வந்து அண்ணன் வந்து ஐ நோ தட் ஹீ யூஸ் டு கோ வித் தி காஸ்பல் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் அண்ட் ஹீ யூஸ் டு கோ ஃபார் மீட்டிங்ஸ், ஹீ யூஸ் டு கால் அண்ட் ப்ரே, ஹீ யூஸ் டு கோ ஃபார் மினிஸ்ட்ரி. அதை வந்து நான் தெரிஞ்சப்போ எனக்கு அப்போ சரியாக புரியலை. லேட்டர் ஆன் ஸ்டேஜஸில் ஐ அண்டர்ஸ்டுட், ஓகே அண்ணன் வந்து குவைட்லி ஹீ இஸ் டூயிங். ஆனால் அண்ணன் வந்து வில்ஸ் அண்ணன் சொன்ன மாதிரி, அலெக்ஸ் அண்ணன் சொன்ன மாதிரி ஹீ இஸ் வெரி ஸ்டபர்ன் இன் சம் திங்ஸ். யாராவது ஈவன் பாஸ்டர்ஸோ ஏதோ தப்பாக செஞ்சால் அவங்களுக்கு பிடிக்காது. he used to shout at them. At the same time he said, we should not be like that. கடவுளுடைய பிள்ளைங்க, கடவுள் ஒரு நாளைக்கு கணக்கு கேட்பாருன்னு தெரியாதா, we have to follow that. அப்போ I used to fear அண்ணன். ஒருவேளை அண்ணன் வந்து ஓகே he is very strict like that அப்படின்னு. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் வாட் அண்ணனோட இது. அது மாதிரி நாங்கள் நைஜீரியாவில் இருந்தப்போவும் அண்ணன் வந்து எங்கள் வீட்டுக்கு வருவாங்க போவாங்க. அப்போ என்னோடய பிள்ளைங்களாம் ரொம்ப சின்ன பிள்ளைங்களாக இருந்தாங்க. ஹீ யூஸ் டு கம் அண்ட் என்கேஜ். அதே சமயத்தில் வி யூஸ் டு என்ஜாய் அ லாட். அண்ணன் வந்து எங்கள் வீட்டில் சாட்டர்டே சண்டேஸ்லாம் எங்கள் வீட்டில் இருப்பாங்க. வி யூஸ் டு கோ அவுட் அண்ட் என்ஜாய். அந்த டேஸ் எல்லாம் ஐ செரிஷ் தோஸ் மெமரிஸ். அது மாதிரி அண்ணன் வந்து எனக்கு சின்னதுலேருந்து சொல்லி கொடுத்தது, விஜி கண்டிப்பாக குடும்ப ஜெபம் பண்ணணும், கண்டிப்பாக பைபிள் வாசிக்கணும், அதை விட்டுறக்கூடாது. This is what you will it will make you sustain in the faith life. So all those memories I remember. அண்ணனுக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறப்ப நான் மதினியை வந்து ஐ அப்ரிஷியேட் அ லாட். என்னென்னா இந்த காலத்தில் வந்து we know what are all happening around. ஒருத்தர் வந்து நம்ம மனசு கஷ்டப்படுத்தி ஏதாவது சொல்லிட்டா கூட ஹஸ்பண்ட் அண்ட் ஒய்ஃப்குள்ளே நிறைய ஃப்ரிக்ஷன்ஸ் வர்றப்போ மதினி வந்து அண்ணனை எவ்வளோ தூரத்துக்கு தாங்கி கொண்டு வந்து இவ்வளோ தூரத்துக்கு வந்திருக்குன்னா, அந்த குடும்பம் இவ்வளோ தூரத்துக்கு நல்லா இருக்குன்னா, தட் இஸ் பியூர்லி பை காட்ஸ் கிரேஸ் அண்ட் காட் இஸ் சஸ்டெயின்டு தேர் லவ் அண்ட் ஹீ புட் ஆல் த லவ் இன் தட் ஃபேமிலின்னு எனக்கு புரியுது. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் வந்து நான் அண்ணனை பற்றி நினைக்கிறப்ப ஹீ இஸ் மை ரோல் மாடல் அப்படின்னு தான் சொல்ல முடியும்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ ப்ரேஸ் ஆல் தி ப்ரேஸ் டு பி காட் அலோன். ஆமென்.
We shall now have the Bible reading read for us. Okay, let's now listen to the scripture portions. Mark chapter 4, verses from 35 to 41. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to thee, O Christ.
Thank you, Pastor, for the word. Now I have my aunt, Virginia Isaac, whom we all call Rupata at home. And my dad fondly called her Rupa, and they were there. So Chris Mama, Rupata, and Vinny were there. So I was just here a month ago, and they were there in our house every weekend, invariably. And I think if there's one thing my dad always did was ask both of them, "What did you get for me today to eat?" I'm sure if you've known my dad, he's a foodie, he's a big foodie, he's a vegetarian. That doesn't stop him. But he would ask Chris, "Get me ice cream." Unfazed, he doesn't mind. He wouldn't have that thing that, "Oh, I'm asking something." He would just say, "Chris, I want ice cream. Chris, I want this." And either of them would lovingly walk all the way to Tom's, buy it, and give it to him. So they were there in the last days, and they know the struggle. So I'd really like to ask my aunt to say a few words.
First of all, I would like to give all the glory, honor, and praise to the King of our lives and the King of Wilson's life. Yesterday, day before yesterday, on a day before he passed away, I came and we spent some time. We prayed and we left. But we went back quite heavy in our hearts, knowing that he's struggling. But God has his time and his ways. And I love to sing, and being the part of the CSI Kothanoor Church Choir, which is quite famous for its hymns, I love to sing in the morning. And there is a hymn sung by Fanny Crosby. "One day I'll see him face to face and tell the story, saved by grace. And when I wake up, I will be within the palace of the king." I know where Wilson is. He's in the palace of the king. Wilson came after me. I am the eldest daughter-in-law. We shared a bond. All the Isaacs one side, me and Wilson one side. So whenever some kind of an argument would come, we both will stick together. And I'll say, "Wilson, we both are one," okay? He was a man of faith, that I can tell. He might not be that kind of person who'll continuously sing or continuously speak about, "Oh, Bible verse this or that." No. The faith was embedded in his heart, a heart which loved Jesus. Our ultimate purpose in life is to glorify God. Through his life, I know Wilson glorified God. In his quiet moments, in the moments of his suffering, in the moments in a hospital bed, whether he might be in a vehicle, I knew that he felt the presence of the Savior beside him. Because that was the faith he stood on. We sang, "On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand." Words are so powerful. And when that song was being sung, I thought, "Wilson, on Christ the solid rock you stood. All other ground, all the worldly things around you were just sinking sand. Nothing else mattered." His family, he loved people. He loved the company of people. He loved Angel. He loved Chintu. And he loved Angelina, Valentina, more than anybody else in this world. He wanted the best for them always. And all around him, whenever you stood or talked to him, there was nothing but love. He would chide you, but in a second you can see a person, a different a beautiful version of Wilson. That was the love he had. It's that love, I think, so carries on with his children. Both of them. They might not put it in words, but when you sit with them, when you talk to them, and when you're around them, you know that they love you. And that is something I'll miss about Wilson. And many times I was in my quiet time of prayers, I always prayed that God's presence will be beside him, that his spirit will speak to him, guide him and counsel him. Because he was in and out of hospitals. And only one person who's there will understand that the presence of the Savior is the most greatest thing one can have. And Jesus was beside him. And that's all was giving us all the strength, the courage, the hope. And I know that he's singing for the King, and one day we all will meet him. And when we all gather. And that's the greatest promise we have. And on behalf of entire families of us, we thank you all for standing with us, being with us, strengthening us. And just before I end, I would like to remind Angel, Chintu and Chinamma, as the eldest daughter-in-law of the house, my mother-in-law's favorite Psalm was Psalm 121. She would always say, I lift up my eyes unto the hills. Where does my help come from? He's the provider in that psalm. He's the protector in that psalm. And he's the preserver of our lives in that psalm. As they journey through the life, and as they move on, all the three and all of us, we have a great hope because he is the preserver of our lives. And we will continue in this journey. And we thank God for the life of Wilson, the blessed life he has given, and the memories we can carry on with us in our hearts. We will surely miss him. He will be missed. But he is embedded inside in our hearts. His memories, the tiny moments of laughter, the tiny banters we had. We are just grateful and thankful that God has given us an opportunity to spend time with people of faith like Wilson. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Atta. That really had my heart. I don't have words after that. But I'd also like to, bring back the sense of joy that we just had. My dad, I remember, was a host for young couples. He would take care of them, have them over, lazy breakfast, late Sunday brunches. It was fun at home. It's not just one or two. He's done it for many people. And likewise is my Akka and Bava. That is so the relation I will explain. My grandmother's, my Amama, that's my mom's mom. Mom's oldest sister's first daughter, the first cousin of all of them in my mother's line, and her first daughter, Soumya. So please come forward, and her son Ashish is sitting there. He's actually my nephew, but he's as old as my brother. And I remember they were in our house every other weekend, and I'm sure they know a capacity of him, they know a phase of him, and they know something different. So really love to ask you to share.
Thank you, Valentina. I think I want to share a very different picture about Wilson Uncle, or Wilson Baba as what I call. So he's a very traditional person, because when I walked in after my marriage, the first day, so my parents, when they came, I was working in Bangalore before that, but I think after my marriage, my parents have come, set up my home, and they said, okay, now that Angel and Wilson are there, we want you to stay nearby because you're starting your life. And when I entered Bangalore, and then I think we had a lunch and the whole day's activities there. He first told Angel Amlu, say that get a platter with a sari, with flowers, with bangles, and all that. I have never seen that. I mean, none of our families are so traditional, but he's very particular about every small detail that needs to go in. And I was welcomed as a bride in a very traditional manner, which I can never forget. This might be a 17-year-old story, but I think when I was just going through the memory lane, I remember how I was special. And I think, and as Valentina said, so our house was like 200 meters away. So every weekend, not every other weekend, it's every weekend, starting from Saturday morning till Sunday evening, our breakfast, our lunch, our dinner was with the family. So he used to say, no, you have to come. Until we are traveling out of station, we are always there in their house. So he also used to say, he used to tease Valentina saying, see Akka, how does she do? You learn from her. And then he used to tease my husband also. But then he is, I know most of them mentioned he's a foodie, but he's also a great chef. He goes in so detail with a recipe. I think he's so meticulous in what needs to go, how it needs to be done. So usually our breakfast is at 11 o'clock, our lunch at 4 o'clock, and our dinner is at 11 o'clock in the night. Because he does it so meticulously. Though it's vegetarian, I think people like me who are so much into non-vegetarian can cherish those vegetarian dishes. Because he does it with so much of passion and love. And he wants to know that, vegetarian can also be tasty, because we keep pulling him because he doesn't eat non-veg and we are like the non-vegetarians. So we always had that tiff and jokes, and he used to be very jovial, crack jokes, keep pulling our legs. Maybe one funny incident about Baba, I know he is stubborn sometimes, because he's very stubborn that no non-veg should enter the house, right? He's very stubborn that, family should not eat. But I think there are times when we used to sneak in the non-vegetarian, especially when he's out of station. But he used to come back and find out. And then he's like, I told you not to do it. And then immediately, but that flare is just for a second. And immediately he'll say, okay, let me cook for you. Right, so we had a lot of very good memories with him. I know as a young couple, as we started our journey, and also as a family, we really cherished his warm heart of hosting us. And I barely know any cooking at that point of time, but I think I've learned how traditional Tamilian recipes are. He taught me this is how you make pongal. There are tips he used to give me about baking. And I think that's more about his personal, this one, but I think he, I know most of them spoke about how he is a father, husband, but I want to highlight one aspect of him, that he's a great son-in-law, because when Amama was there with him, I know they had again, they used to pull each other's leg. We used to all make fun of both of them because they're arguing in between. But I think when she fell sick, he has traveled all the way from Chennai. He was there outside HICU, and I have seen him. I have seen him serve his mother-in-law like more than a mother. He never bothered. I think at that time, Angel Amlu was out of country, and he never bothered what he ate. He never bothered what he wore. He was just serving her. And that's a very great personality. How many of them will serve a mother-in-law like that? And I think I really appreciate the patience, and in spite of knowing that he has to take things and medicine, he has to take care of himself, he was only worried about Amama who's in HICU. And I think I really appreciate that personality. I think he's there are a lot of memories I cherish. And as a family, we really are, blessed to have him in our life as Babai. At the end, I want to really thank God for life of Angelina Wilson, who's my aunt. I seriously feel she's a superwoman. As God calls women to be, as Proverbs 31, I think she's really a woman of Proverbs 31, because I have always seen her so gentle, so calm, even in the situation of a storm. Right? Even if she has to take a major decision, a smile was never leaving her face. And she says it's okay. And I think that strength she draws us from the Lord. Right? Unless until Lord strengthens her, I feel if I have to think about that, I know it is practically not possible. But she was always calm, composed in taking very hard situations, taking things across, making hard, tough decisions. Hats off to you, Angel Blue. Last but not the least, Valentina has been a strong girl throughout. I know there are many times where she had to walk out of HICU, listening to very hard counsels that doctors have given. She had to take hard decisions where, when Angel Blue was not there. I think she has, at that age, I think she's done a brilliant job. Thank you so much for the passion that you showed in serving your father. But the best, Chintu, I know he's 20 days younger to my son, but I think the passion, anytime, every time, Chintu was always there beside his dad. He has served him day and night, right? And whoever is there or not there, I think he has done it so much. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of both of you as an elder sister. Thank you so much what you have done, and I really appreciate. Yeah, God bless you.
Thank you, Akka. That also took me back. And thank you for appreciating our efforts. So when it comes to my tribute, I will definitely, there's a lot I have to share. But before that, I think we have the sermon. So I'll ask...
Let us bow down and look to God in prayer. தலைகளை தாழ்த்தி அவனுடைய வார்த்தையை தியானிக்க ஆயத்தப்படுவோம். யாரிடம் செல்வோம் ஆண்டவரே? வாழ்வு தரக்கூடிய வார்த்தைகள் எல்லாம் உம்மிடம்தான் இருக்கிறது என்பதை உணர்ந்து உம்மில் நம்பிக்கை கொண்டு உம்முடைய வார்த்தைகள் ஆண்டவரே ஜீவனுள்ளவைகளாய் எங்கள் ஆத்துமாவை உயிர்ப்பிக்கக்கூடியதாய், எங்களை ஆறுதல் படுத்தக்கூடியதாய், எங்களுக்கு சமாதானத்தை வழங்கக்கூடியதாய், எங்களை சுகப்படுத்தக்கூடியதாய் இருக்கின்ற வல்லமை நிறைந்த அந்த வார்த்தையாகிய கடவுளை இவ்வேளையிலும் ஆய்கூட கர்த்தாவே, எங்களுக்கு ஆண்டவரே நீர் பலனாய் இருக்கிறதை உணர்ந்து கொள்ளும்படி இந்த தியான நேரத்தை உம்முடைய கரங்களுக்குள்ளே நாங்கள் ஒப்புக் கொடுக்கின்றோம். குடும்பத்தின் உறவுகளுக்கு ஆறுதலையும் சமாதானத்தையும் நீர் வழங்குகின்ற ஆண்டவராய் இருந்து வழிநடத்தியர்ல நீர் பொறுப்பெடுத்து ஆசீர்வதித்திட வேண்டும் என்றும் இயேசு கிறிஸ்துவின் வல்லமை நிறைந்த நாமத்தில் வேண்டுதலை எடுக்கின்றோம். எங்கள் அன்பு நிறைந்த நல்ல ஆண்டவரே, ஆமென். வாழ்விலே நம்முடைய ஒவ்வொருடைய வாழ்விலும் ஒருவர் நம்முடைய வாழ்வை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளுகின்ற பொழுது ஒரு பெரிதான ஒரு தாக்கத்தை ஏற்படுத்துகிறாங்க. லைஃப் இஸ் அ ஜேர்னி. அந்த ஜேர்னியில் வந்துட்டு நம்ம ஒவ்வொரு கட்டத்திலும் ஒரு உறவுகள் நம்மோடு இணைகிறதை நாம் பார்க்கலாம். ஒருவேளை வில்சன் ஐயாவுடைய லைஃப் ஜேர்னியில் அவங்களுடைய உடன்பிறப்புகளாக இன்னுமாய் கூட வாழ்வை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளுகின்றவர்களாக பலர் அந்த வாழ்வின் பயணத்தில் அவருடன் வந்திருக்கிறதை நாம் சொல்ல கேட்டோம். அவருடைய வாழ்வின் சாட்சியை குறித்து சொல்லுகின்ற பொழுது அதை சுருக்கமாக சொல்ல வேண்டும் என்றால் நம்ம பார்க்கலாம். ஒன்று, பெரும்பாலும் விசுவாசத்தை குடும்பத்தில் வழங்குகின்றவர்கள், அதை உரமூட்டுகின்றவர்கள் பெண்களாக இருக்க கூடும். ஆனால் இவருடைய சாட்சி மிகுந்த வாழ்வை குறித்து நாம் பார்க்கின்ற பொழுது இவர்களை கொண்டு அநேகருடைய விசுவாச வாழ்வை தூண்டுகின்ற ஒரு சிறப்பான ஒரு மனிதராக அவர் வாழ்ந்திருக்கிறார். இன்னொன்று, கடவுளுடைய ஒரு உன்னதமான குணம் என்னவென்றால் கோபம் ஒரு நிமிடம்தான், அவருடைய கிருபை நித்தம் நித்தம். The anger is for a moment, but the steadfast love endures forever என்று சொல்லி நாம் பார்க்கின்றோம். அதுபோல மீண்டும் மீண்டுமாய் இங்கே அவரை பற்றி சொல்ல கேட்ட காரியங்களிலே நாம் கவனிக்க வேண்டிய ஒரு காரியம், அப்பப்போ அந்த நேரத்துக்கு கோபப்படுவாருங்க, ஆனால் அதுக்கடுத்து அவர்கள் மீது அன்பு செலுத்துவதிலே மிகவும் அக்கறை கொள்ளுகின்ற ஒருவராக அவர் இருந்திருக்கிறார். இன்னும் கூட குடும்பத்தின் உறவுகளையும் உடன்பிறப்புகளையும் விட்டு கொடுக்காது அரவணைத்து செல்லக்கூடிய, எந்த நேரத்திலும் அவர்களுக்காக நிற்கக்கூடியவர்களாக இருந்திருக்கின்ற இந்த குணங்களை தான் நம்ம தொடர்ந்து நம்முடைய வாழ்வில் எடுத்து செல்லும்படியாக கடவுள் இவருடைய வழியாக நமக்கு வழங்கி இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு சில நற்காரியங்கள், நற்குணங்கள். வாழ்வின் பயணம் என்று சொல்லுகின்ற பொழுது ஆண்டவராகிய இயேசு கிறிஸ்து கூட தம்முடைய சீடர்களோடு பயணித்த ஒரு நிகழ்வை குறித்து தான் இன்று நாம் படிக்க கேட்டோம். அது ஒரு கப்பல் பயணம். அந்த கப்பல் பயணத்தில் தொடக்கத்தில் நாம் பார்க்கின்ற பொழுது, வாங்க நம்ம அக்கறைக்கு போவோம் வாருங்கள் என்று சொல்லி இயேசு கிறிஸ்துவே தம்முடைய சீடர்களை அழைக்கிறார். ஜீசஸ் இஸ் த இனிஷியேட்டர் ஆஃப் our faith. ரெவலேஷன்ல நம்ம பார்க்கலாம், ஆண்டவராகிய இயேசு கிறிஸ்துவுக்கு இருக்கக்கூடிய பட்ட பெயர்களில் ஒரு பெயர் அல்ஃபா அண்ட் ஒமேகா. நம்முடைய விசுவாச பயணத்தின் தொடக்கமும் நிறைவும் ஆண்டவராகிய இயேசு கிறிஸ்து. அந்த விசுவாச பயணத்தில் சென்று கொண்டிருக்கின்ற பொழுது அவர்கள் சந்தித்த அந்த புயல், the stormy or the windy situation that the disciples experienced is the same situations that today the family is going through. Or at times, even we, in some point of our lifetime, in the midst of the losses that we have went through, we've experienced the same experience. அப்படி இருக்கின்ற ஒரு சூழ்நிலையில் நம்மை ஆழ்த்தக்கூடிய பல்வேறு காரியங்கள் என்னன்னா பயம், the fear factor that they have to wrestle with. அந்த பயம் எப்படிப்பட்டதா இருந்திருக்கிறது என்றால், they were about to be drowned, almost swamped. மூழ்கி போகின்ற ஒரு நிலையில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு தருணத்தில் வாழ்விழந்து போவோம் என்று சொல்லி, இத்தனைக்கும் கிறிஸ்துவை பின்பற்றி வந்தவர்கள், கிறிஸ்துவால் ஆசீர்வாதத்தை பெற்று வந்தவர்கள், அவரால் பல நன்மைகளை தங்களுடைய வாழ்வில் கண்டிருந்த பொழுதும் கூட அந்த பயம் என்பது நமக்குள்ளே வருகின்ற ஒரு நிலையை நாம் பார்க்கலாம். அப்போதுதான் பல கேள்விகளை நான் என்னுடைய வாழ்வு இழந்து போவேனோ என்று சொல்லி, இனி எனக்கான பலனை இழந்து போவேனோ என்று சொல்லி, நான் என்ன செய்வேன் என்று தெரியாமல் பயப்படுகின்ற ஒரு நிலையில், திகைக்கின்ற ஒரு நிலையில் நம்முடைய வாழ்வு கடந்து வருகின்ற பொழுது நாம் ஒன்றை நினைவில் கொள்ள வேண்டும், how the disciples handled the situation. அந்த நேரத்தில் நாம் பார்க்கலாம், ஆண்டவராகிய இயேசு கிறிஸ்து என்ன பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாரா, நித்திரை செய்து கொண்டு இருந்தாரா. That is the silent moment that we could experience and ask God why God is silent. ஏன் ஆண்டவர் அமைதியாக இருந்திருக்கிறார் இந்த சுச்சுவேஷனில்? நான் கடந்து வரக்கூடிய வழி அவருக்கு புரியலையா? இந்த நிலை எங்களுக்கு தேவையா? ஏன் இவ்வளோ பெரிய ஒரு கஷ்டமான ஒரு போராட்டங்களை நாங்கள் கடந்து வர வேண்டும் ஒரு குடும்பமாக என்று சொல்லி பல அந்த சைலண்ட் மொமெண்ட் ஆஃப் காட் மேக்ஸ் அஸ் சம்வேர் ரெச்ட், டோட்டலி லாஸ்ட். அப்படி இருக்கின்ற ஒரு சூழ்நிலையிலே அவங்க செய்த இன்னொரு காரியம் என்னவென்றால், they went and woke up Christ, calling God. அதை யார் நமக்கு உதவி செய்வார் இந்த சூழ்நிலையிலிருந்து மீண்டு வருவதற்கு என்று சொல்லி திகைக்கின்ற வேளையில் ஒன்றை நாம் கவனிக்க வேண்டும், the Lord is a helper and the helper is the one who is the maker of heaven and earth. உதவி வரும் கண்மலையாகிய அந்த கர்த்தர், வானத்தையும் பூமியையும் உருவாக்கின கடவுள், ஜீவனை இந்த உலகிற்கு கொண்டு வருகின்ற ஒரு கடவுள். அந்த கடவுளை நோக்கி நாம் கூப்பிடுகின்ற பொழுது அந்த இக்கட்டான சூழ்நிலையை கடந்து வந்தாலும் அந்த சூழ்நிலை முழுவதுமாய் ஆண்டவருடைய ஆளுகையிலே இருந்திருக்கிறது. Everything was under the control of God. Even the winds could obey him. Even the stormy situations that the family is going through, remember that God is in control of the situation. இந்த சூழ்நிலையிலும் கூட ஆண்டவர் உங்கள் வாழ்வை ஆளுகை செய்யக்கூடியவராய் இருக்கிறார். அது எப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு சூழ்நிலை என்றால், கொந்தளிக்கின்ற அலைகளின் மத்தியிலே ஆழ்கடல்ல ஒரு அமைதி பார்க்கலாம். அந்த ஒரு அமைதி, அந்த ஒரு சமாதானம், அந்த ஒரு கம்ஃபர்ட், அந்த ஒரு ஆறுதலை வழங்கக்கூடியவர் ஆண்டவர் மட்டுமே. ஏன்னா இந்த பயணம் என்பது நம்ம நினைச்சு நம்ம அந்த பயணத்துக்குள்ள போல, it is God who initiated our life's journey and he is the one who is journeying with us and he will surely take us to the other side of the shore. அந்த விசுவாசத்தோடு நாம் ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் பயணிக்கும்படி நாம் அழைக்கப்படுகின்றோம். Nothing is certain on this earth. எல்லாமே எந்த ஒரு காரியமும் நிரந்தரம் இல்லாத ஒரு காரியத்திலே எவ்வளவா நாம் வாழ்வை இந்த உலகிலே கொண்டாடுகின்றோமோ அதுபோல இழப்பும் என்பது ஆண்டவருடைய அந்த கிரியேஷன் ஆர்டரில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு அங்கம். The death is also the part of God's created order. அதையும் கடந்து வரக்கூடிய ஒரு நிலையிலே நாம் செல்லுகின்ற இந்த தருணத்திலே ஆண்டவரின் மீது விசுவாசம் கொண்டு நமக்கு அந்த வைத்த ஒரு 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 எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்லணும்னா, ரீசெண்டாக ஐ திங்க் இந்த ப்ரீவியஸ் மந்த் நெதர்லாண்ட்ஸில் யுத்தனேஷியா அந்த மர்சி கில்லிங்க்கு அவங்க கவர்மெண்ட்டாகவே பெர்மிஷன் கொடுக்குறாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இட் இஸ் லீகலைஸ்ட் இன் சம் பார்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் த வேர்ல்ட். அப்படி நெதர்லாண்ட்ஸில் 36 years உடைய ஒரு பெண் அவங்க வந்துட்டு எனக்கு நீங்கள் டெத்துக்கு நீங்கள் கவர்மெண்ட்டை பெர்மிஷன் கொடுக்கணும்னு கேட்டால், ஆனால் அவங்களுக்கு எந்த சிக்னஸும் கிடையாதான். ஆனால் இவரை பற்றி நம்ம பார்த்தோன்னா இவர் வாழ்விலே கடந்து வந்த போராட்டத்தில் எஸ் லெட் மீ கோ கன்சல்ட் another டாக்டர், எனக்கு அந்த வாழ்வில் வரக்கூடிய இந்த சவால்களோடு போராடுவதில் நமக்கு ஒரு முன்மாதிரியாக இன்னைக்கு நிறைய பேர் அந்த அவங்களுக்கு இருக்கிற ஒரே அந்த நெதர்லாண்ட்ஸில் இருக்கிறவங்க அவங்க எந்த காரணத்துக்காக அவங்க டெத்தை விரும்பி கேட்டுக்கிறாங்கன்னு பார்த்தோன்னா the mental stress that she went through, the depression that she went through. இன்னைக்கு அதெல்லாமே தாண்டி வர முடியாம வாழ்வின் சவால்களை மேற்கொள்ள முடியாமல் தவிக்கின்ற ஒரு உலகில் நம்ம வாழ்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்ற வேளையில் ஐயாவுடைய வாழ்வு நமக்கு ஒரு வாழ்வின் போராட்டங்களை எந்த நிலையிலும் விட்டு கொடுக்காமல் அதை போராடி முன்னகர்ந்து செல்வதற்கான ஒரு முன்மாதிரியான ஒரு வாழ்க்கையை அவர் நமக்கு முன்பாக அவர் எடுத்து வைத்திருக்கிறார், ஒரு சாட்சியாக நிறுத்தி இருக்கின்றார். இந்த அவருடைய நற்குணங்களை தொடர்ந்து நம்முடைய வாழ்வில் நிறைவேற்றுவதன் வழியே நமக்கு ஆண்டவர் வைத்திருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த விசுவாச வாழ்வில் தொடர்ச்சியாய் ஆண்டவரோடு நாம தனியா பயணிக்கல. ஒருவேளை மனிதர்களாக நாம் நினைக்கக்கூடிய மலை போல எண்ணுகின்ற ஒரு உறவுகள் நம்மை விட்டு கடந்து சென்றாலும் Christ is still journeying with us. He is always with us even till the ends of the world. இந்த உலகமே கடந்து போனாலும் நான் உங்க கூடவே இருக்கிறேன். ஐ வில் பி வித் யூ ஆல்வேஸ் ஈவன் டில் தி எண்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் தி எர்த். ஆண்டவர் வாக்கு பண்ணின அந்த ஆண்டவர் உங்களுடனே கூட இருந்து தொடர்ந்து உங்களுடைய வாழ்விலே நம்ம எப்படி அவருடைய நல் நினைவுகள் நமக்கு இந்த துயரமான ஒரு வேளையிலும் ஆங்காங்கே ஒரு உள்ளத்திலே ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சியை இந்த ஈவன் இன் திஸ் கேதரிங் we could feel the essence of his life which has been a blessing for the family and for the relatives. அது போன்று அவருடைய நல் நினைவுகள் உங்களுக்கு சந்தோஷத்தை தருவதாகவும் அவர் வாழ்ந்த வாழ்வு சாட்சி மிகுந்த வாழ்வாக இருப்பதை எண்ணி பார்த்து தொடர்ந்து வாழ்வின் பயணத்திலே ஆண்டவரோடு இணைந்து நமக்கு வைத்திருக்கக்கூடிய வாழ்நாளில் ஆண்டவருக்கென்று சாட்சியாக வாழ அவருடைய கரங்களில் நம்முடைய எல்லா காரியங்களையும் அர்ப்பணிக்கின்ற பொழுது அவர் முற்றிலுமாய் பொறுப்பெடுத்து கொண்டு நம்முடைய வாழ்வின் எல்லா காரியங்களிலும் ஆண்டவராக இருந்து அவர் ஆளுகை செய்வார் என்பதில் சந்தேகமில்லை. அந்த ஆண்டவர் உங்களுக்கு சமாதானத்தை தந்திடும்படியாக உங்களுக்கு வழி நடத்திட ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் எப்படி கைடன்ஸ் ஒரு தகப்பனாக இருந்து இவர் உங்களுடைய குடும்பத்தை நடத்தி வந்தார், அதுபோல் கடவுள் உங்களுக்கு தகப்பனாக இருந்து அவர் உங்களுக்கான எல்லா காரியங்களிலும் வழிகாட்டுதலையும் ஆலோசனையும் தந்து உங்களை வழிநடத்தி தம்முடைய ஆறுதலையும் சமாதானத்தையும் தந்திடுவாராக. தலைகளை தாழ்த்தி நாம் ஜெபம் செய்வோம். There's one more tribute and a very special tribute from Wilson Aya's daughter. Yeah.
So this is on behalf of my mother, my little Chintu, and myself. So I don't know where to begin. I wanted to prepare for this, but I was short of time, and I had the hardest flight. So in the past 1 year, it's not yet a year that I've left India, but in span of just 10 months to be precise, I've flown out of that country 3 times, which can cause me a lot of problems. But this was the hardest flight I ever took. That 24 hours was a lot of guilt that I could not make it, because the day he passed away, I was on the call. I was on the call with my brother because my brother was breaking down, and I said, Chintu, be with Appa no matter what, and talk to him even if there is no response back. Just talk to him. I said that in seconds, and I heard my mother scream, and I knew it was over. And the moment Chintu took the phone and came to this room, the moment I saw him, I could not digest it because I had just booked my ticket to see him, because she said, "It's okay, come." Initially, when that very morning, I spoke to him and I said, "Appa, na veetuk varen, na varata. Na nalaniki I'm coming." "Illa nee edukku kaas waste pannittu vara, you don't have to come, nee ange iru," and all that he said. But it was not him that was saying. I still have the video on my phone, and it was, I don't know what it was, because he was gasping for breath and all of that was happening. And he said, "Don't come." But I really thought he'll pull on for another 2 days, because I wanted to meet him. I just wanted to talk to him, like as usual. And in the last few months, he loves food, so that was one negative, but it never harmed us that much, and we decided to, give him whatever he loves. But unfortunately, like I said today morning, his hours were numbered. In fact, minutes were numbered. They gave him the pain management medicine, and we didn't know. We thought he's very strong. He'll hold on. He'll, come out of that sedation. He'll be normal, and then another 2 days I'll reach. I did expect that maybe when I'm mid-air, I will lose him, but I didn't know that it would be gone that soon. But before that, I just want to talk about this picture. This picture was, I clicked it, and it's a cropped picture. The picture has my mother in it. He's holding my mother, and it was before we were heading out for lunch somewhere. So he was, I'm still out of words. I don't know how to start, where to start. But I first want to talk about two people before I get to him. First is my brother. I think St. John's came into the picture almost after 7 months. But this child has been taking care of him since January, ever since his dialysis started. In December 2023, everything was fine. I just left to office. And suddenly I get a call from my Perima and Peripa that his BP has dropped. It started there, but trust me, he came out strong out of it every single time. Every single time he came out strong out of it. And I had to rush, and I was there. I really thought that time I'll lose him. My mother was supposed to come in December as usual, but she came down a little earlier that time. And we never thought he'd make it that time either, because he was, his heart kind of was also deteriorating, and then, but somehow dialysis we did and all of that. So during that time, Chintu, we call him Chintu. He's Andronicus, but he's Chintu. He took his dad for dialysis. It was very difficult because even though there was a car at home, none of us knew to drive. He was the only driver. He drove us around everywhere. So after him, it is only my brother that knows to drive now. But through the difficult times, for us, when I say difficult, it was putting him into the car. And he did it all by himself. Anything and everything. Till the last day he died. Chintu, எனக்கு இதை எடுத்துட்டு வா. Chintu, எனக்கு அதை எடுத்துட்டு வா. He loved Chintu. He also troubled Chintu enough. And it was Chintu, Chintu, Chintu. When Angel is away, it is Chintu. In the absence of Angel, Chintu held him. Chintu, எனக்கு இது பண்ணு. Chintu, do this for me. And he, without a smirk on his face, without saying, he of course has a 2-minute rule. 2 minutes, I'll come. 2 minutes. But he did it with all love. He took his dad for dialysis till the end, paid the bills, dealt with doctors, had to face one. So when he was in the hospital, one time, my dad actually lost his life. And it was a code blue situation. And today when I went to Baptist, I just wanted to thank people there because it was not easy to put up with my, suffering dad. And you know what they told me, surprisingly? They never spoke about anything. They said, please give our love to little Chintu. Entire Baptist knows my dad. Entire Baptist knows little Chintu. Baptist became our second home, to be very honest. And I cannot thank my brother enough for being there in my absence and holding it through, because he was the constant. So it was me and my brother for a while. My mother came down, I had to go, and that is how it was. So he held both of us, right? He really held both of us. And coming to my mom, I'm sure everybody here knows, each of you sitting here knows what she went through, how she went through whatever she went through. And I think all of you just saw it on the surface level. To be very honest, that was surface level. At home, she faced sleepless nights because my dad struggled in the last few months. He had some pain that we could not figure out. Angel, angel, angel. When I came for my summer vacation, I was mentally stressed. I could not, take it, and I'd be like, no, I won't be there. You guys take care. But through it all, no matter how many times he called Angel, she would go from this end of this room. This was his room. She'd be there. He would wake her up. She would sit with him, whatever it was, sit with him, or, get him a cup of tea in the middle of the night. Whatsoever, she did it. But I'm sure, as some teacher sitting here, did you see that on her face? Did you ever see that on her face, that she actually had something that night and she didn't sleep? But I knew it. She said, she comes back from school and I tell her, Mama, tell me a story. Like, tell me what happened. So that is how I talk to her. I said, tell me a story. And then she tells me her entire day, and always her sentence starts with, I didn't have a wink of sleep last night. But I don't know where this strength comes from. I really believe it's God's strength, and I owe it to nobody but God. Like, He led us through this. He led my mother through this. He led my brother through this. And even at times when I had to take hard decisions without my mother, it was God. I don't think it is anybody else. People say, there's no suffering, and they think, like, I've had so many people in a very tough phase tell me that I speak over your suffering and your suffering will end. But the people that spoke, it never happened. Suffering never ended. But you know what? We found joy in suffering. We felt closer to God in our suffering. And that is something I really wanted to share about the chronology of, or the past few years. There's one incident I also want to mention about my mom. She wanted to become a doctor. And there was this one time in 2020 during COVID, my dad's toe was amputated. We did not find people to dress him. And if people had to come home, the charges per dressing was too high. She took up the torch and she said, I will do it. It's not an easy dressing. It's a big open wound. She would shut the doors every alternate day and do it like a pro. I could never do it. I just didn't want her to go back to Kuwait. But she did it like a pro for, I think, close to a year, right? Around 6-7 months, because it was first the toe and then the patch. She did the dressing. And I think everybody here deserves to know that she is the superwoman she is. And my superhero, my little superhero, Andronicus Chintu. So yes, so that is about my mom, and I really wanted to say this because you need to know how it was for us. Coming to my dearest dad. So again, before I get there, let me tell you what I'm doing. My teachers are sitting here. My maths teacher is sitting here. My PE teacher is sitting here. Ma'am, I was supposed to be your student in 10B, but I moved out of school, Lata ma'am. So I was supposed to be there in her biology class, but I moved out of thing, and so it never happened. But, you know, when I wanted to leave, when I left St. John's, everything from there was my dad's decision. It was he that decided I leave the school. It is he that decided I go to a certain school. And when he took those decisions for me, I could never digest it. But today he saved me from a generation that is rotting, to be very honest. So I went out for my 10th. I left my house when I was 14 years old in a hostel. And then 2 years I did in Ballari, Chaitanya, with my grandmom there, but I was still in the hostel. And then 4 years I did my engineering in Karunya. And I did biomedical engineering, to give you a small history. With absolutely no break, I got an amazing internship in my final semester. And after that, just after I finished my internship on June 30. July 3rd, I got my full-time offer in another company, in an MNC, where I was also doing my core. My job, my only worry was, I don't shift from my core and go to IT. And that really happened, and my dad celebrated it. My dad celebrated things like that. And when I joined as a software engineer and I worked for 2 years, I always kept saying, my dad had an obsession, we all be abroad and settle abroad. That was the reason, we were trying to be out of this country for a very long time. Don't ask me why, I don't know why. It's his obsession, we all carry it. He was abroad, my mother was abroad, and now I am. But he really wanted me to go ahead. I'm 25 years old, he's never told me, get married, sit at home and do family. He said, first stand up financially. I don't know how many dads do this, but my dad never said, get married. And when I had to move to Pune and, so I think I missed out. So I finished that, I told I want to do my master's, and I was so from my 3rd year of engineering, I wanted to do this course called MEM. He remembered it, and he cheered me and said, go for it, try. I needed 2 years of experience for that. He said, go for it, try, do everything. And even in his sickness and trouble, he helped me through the papers, he helped me through the collateral that I had to take and everything. And I made it to the US. And a lot of times I get this question like, why did you leave your family and go? A lot of them, back there also people ask, you have such a tough situation, why did you leave that and come here? My dad wouldn't have wanted it other way. He would not have wanted it any other way. If today he was alive and he was sleeping, and if you woke him up and asked him, what are you proud of? He'll take my name. And I can confidently say it. If you've known my dad, he kept repeating, I think Chris Mama and Rupata would know. He kept saying, whatever happens, my daughter's in the US. My daughter's in the US. And that's all I need. That is all I need. That is all he spoke about. He wanted me to have an education in a very good college, which I do. I'm in Boston. I'm currently in Boston. I'm doing engineering management. I'm in the tech. He wanted me to be in tech. And I really owe whatever I am to him. If I had to make the choice, I think I would have messed up. But today I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoyed my work, my 2 years of work, I enjoyed. And he has been my cheerleader. Ever since day one, he has been my cheerleader. He has always cheered me up and he said, you go ahead. You don't worry. The day I left to US for the first time, I think on August 28th, he held my hand and he said, Chinu, எனக்கு எதா ஆச்சுன்னா வருத்தப்படாத. It'll be fine. I think Sherlyn and Smiley ma'am and Nancy ma'am were there that day. That is what he said. He's like, don't worry about me. Don't worry what's happening at home. You know, your mother is there. Chintu is there. They'll take care. But he wanted me to go ahead. And he's very proud of me. He's very proud of me. Like, he says, you know, she's the son I raised. And of course, I am the bold cat. I can say that. I'm quite bold when it comes to dealing with things. And that also comes from my mother. She's a very bold girl. And so it is one of my friends back in the US that, you know, was consoling me. They said, even Pauline ma'am was telling me, Cheryl, you're a very strong girl. And during that time, one of them told me, everybody has told you that you're like your dad. You have your genes in him and you are just him. Remember that. My brother keeps telling, Akka is like Appa only. So that was like, it was a very degrading compliment because my dad was a very angry person. But like everybody said, that anger was just for that moment, I think. And then it would calm down and he would make it up. There was one time he took me out for dinner when I was, I think, in 6th or 7th grade, and I did something stupid. And he yelled at me. I came back home, I started crying. I came back to my mother, I said, Appa shouted at me and all of that. And then he realized he was wrong. He immediately made it up to me. He gave me a kiss and he's like, I'm sorry. I think all the raising, all the fatherness was into me. I was their experimental child, the older sibling. They did all their experiments with me and they were very strict. My dad was a very, very, very strict father. He put me in place, like basically he put me in place. Towards the end, when I was coming for my summer vacation, he said, now she's coming to put me in place. So that is what he used to say, like, you know, now she's coming to put me in place. Because I was a terror in the last few days. I would not allow him eat. And, you know, I just wouldn't allow him do what he does many a times. And then he would patiently listen to me sometimes. But I think Narayanamma auntie knows. She says, Papunte, he will just try to, you know, not have things. So that way, my dad was my biggest cheerleader. And I'm sure I really wanted him to be there. Somewhere down, I knew he may not be there for my graduation, as when I, you know, complete my master's, which is in few months. He may not be there, but I wouldn't want it any other way. If he was alive, he would have wanted me to be there. He wanted the best for me. He always saw things that I didn't see. And then I realized, oh, my dad was right. My dad was always right. And so that is something I could not process when I was flying down. That 24 hours was very hard. At the thought that I could not talk to him and tell him that, yeah, many times you were right. And whatever he says, whatever he said in my life comes to pass. It comes to pass. No matter what, it comes to pass. He is, he's done everything for me. When my mother was away, he would drop me to my hostel, he would send me food. Every time I said, Appa, Paytm 100 rupees, GPay 50 rupees, dosa saapidnom, burger saapidnom, cheese, I mean the French fries with cheese, strawberry milkshake. He would put 50, 100, 50, 100, even after giving me my 4,000 pocket money. Even after that, because my 4,000 goes in my Amazon spending and I have nothing to spend on eating. So every time it's done, Appa, 100 rupees dosa, 100 rupees this. He's never said no. When I was away, he has never said no. When I was in hostel, he would, I would tell him, I was actually in Chaitanya. I don't know how many of you all know about Chaitanya. It's a very strict place. It was, we didn't have access to non-veg. So when I was 18 years, I told him, see, I've been eating non-veg for ever since you were not in this place. So I'm sorry. But eventually he accepted it. He used to take Chintu and me, buy us non-veg and give. I think many of you don't know that he bought us non-veg. He allowed us eat non-veg. And I would want chicken biryani because I never used to get it. So he sends money to my principal and says, sir, buy her chicken biryani and give. And he's the sweetest dad, I realize, because he once wrote a 2-page letter for me. I don't think he's done that with anybody because he was the one that actually put me in place. His disciplining was a little harsh, but I think if not that way, today to survive in a generation like this would be very hard. Where people are just messing around with their lives, I still carry the values. I've never seen him do anything wrong. He would never go against the word of God. If it was to go against the word of God, he might as well not do it. He will not. If it is, especially when it comes to like, you know, I think we can take this shortcut. Somebody is getting cheated along the way. That's not my problem. He would never say that. No. Even if it was 50 rupees, he'll return it. He checks the bill when he's done. Because he's taken Chintu around everywhere in Chennai. He's taken around me. He's done so much that we couldn't see at that time, but he was sweet. I don't know where that letter is today, but he wrote in that letter that I really want you to become an engineer. Well, I am, but he's not there to see it today. That really, it does break my heart. I don't know how long I will take to process it, but he'd be proud. And he and my Amama were the two people that my grandma kept saying that Chadvak Porte Nikasal, you will have you don't have a bright future. These two people are, you know, the ones that disciplined me. My dad was a little harsh. My grandmom was, she would just say things. And today, the last dream I saw before my dad passed away was my grandmom was sitting with my mom in a car. My mom didn't know, but I could see her. And then I realized, yes, there is something coming up. And that day I lost him. So I don't have any regret. I don't have any guilt because I know his life is a testament of God's glory. It's not us. I would repeat it. It's not us. Because he met us in our need. He met us in our worst. He did everything for us. And he made sure we were well fed. And Chintu and my dad had a lovely time in Chennai because, like Alex Chitapa had mentioned, he would take him to school, drop him at school, bring him back, take him for his special class. Wait outside the special class for 2 hours. Bring him back. Get him something to eat. And, you know, return back home. And we'll miss all of that. I think we'll surely miss my dad. Everybody, because he whenever he meets people, he leaves something with them. He loved people because he loved giving. He believed that giving food to somebody is the biggest thing. He always went over with, if we say 1 cup rice, he will put 2 cup rice. And that is who he is. And I can actually go on, this will never end. But I need to stop now. And if you're close to me, you'll keep hearing about him very often and you'll get to hear it more. And now coming to all the people that stood by us, I really owe it. My heart goes out to you. Firstly, all the teachers of St. John's. Each and everyone who were there with my mother that night, that evening my dad passed away. She asked me to say that, thank you very much because you stood by her. Had it been anywhere else, they'd say, Angelina, it's yours to deal with. It's not ours. But I cannot thank each of you enough for standing by her in my absence. Sometimes I feel my mother can't do things without me. She kind of gets indecisive. That's just me being me, but no, she's done her best. Thank you for standing by her. The maintenance staff, the teachers, Vanaja ma'am, thank you so much for supporting us yesterday and, you know, holding the school so well on the 5th of July. I don't know what more happened, and if I'm failing to thank anybody from St. John's, I'm sorry, but please know that my heart goes out to all of you. Next is I want to thank all our security personnels here, the handymen and everybody. Every time my dad kept falling down because, you know, he always lost balance. They would come no matter what time, what hour of the day, they would come and they would pick him up. Murugesan uncle, I can see you. Thank you so much. You've been a great support. Every time he enters the car, the car enters, he would first come help him out of the car, because porting him out of the car is a 10-minute job. It's not easy. It requires at least 2 people, and they did it. Thank you so much. My next very favorite, words will never be enough. I can never say it and put it in words. Jekar uncle and Narayanamma auntie, they have seen it. They stood by us. My dad, Jekar uncle knows how adamant he gets when he wants something. There was this one night, we were driving back from the hospital. He said, I want that ice cream. I said, you are not getting that ice cream. We came to the campus. He said, I am not getting out of the car unless I get it. Jekar uncle patiently drove back. It was 11 in the night. It was past his time also. He took him, he got him that ice cream or whatever he wanted and brought him back home happily. Narayanamma auntie is the next angel in the house. She's the angel from 8:30. You go to school at 7. She's the angel from 7 to 5. 4. Narayanamma, enak idha edutittu va, enak adha edutittu va. The kind of patience that woman had it been anybody, they would have gone, complained, made it a big issue. But she took care of my dad like her very own. She took care of my little brother like her own son. She woke him up. She gave him she mixed food and gave it to my brother. He's spoiled by her. And auntie, thank you so much. Meer lekapothe, we don't know how life would have been for us. Jekar uncle, neenga paathirkeenga, thank you so much. And I just cannot express it in words. I really owe it to them, and I will. And apart from these 2 people, Dizzo uncle, who was always available, Selva uncle, and so many other people. I just cannot, there's so many people that I have to mention. Everybody stood by my mother. Yes, most importantly, Neela auntie. She did the odd that we could not do. It was very hard to clean a infected person's room. She said, I'll do it, when everybody in the campus said no. And also, Vijay Kumar, if I'm not wrong, I don't know if he's there, he was sitting there, I also saw him. He would, when it came to my dad, he would say, Cheppandi ayya, cheppandi. And my dad in his broken Telugu would ask him for something. And everybody, yeah, so I was talking about Neela. So she did the odd and she took it and she did it. She would come every alternate days, get the bed sheets, the sheets changed and everything. So thank you, Neela auntie. And my thank you is not enough. I'm not going to finish it with a thank you. You definitely have something from me. I will do it. And apart from them, I mentioned the security person. I really don't know because there's so many people that stood by us. So it is never going to be enough to say. Thank you to our church that supported us, most importantly. You know, they held us through and they, whatever it was, I think Pastor Amma checked on us. Not everybody does. Pastor Amma checked on us. And she checked on my mother every now and then. And most importantly, most importantly, there was one person that took up my place for a while, and that is Sherlyn. So it went to a point where everybody when I came this summer, they asked me, who are you in Baptist? Because the nurses had changed and everybody, the first thing they asked, who are you? I said, I am his daughter. And then they asked, second daughter? I said, I am the first daughter. And then they were confused. So that was Sherlyn. She ran around like it was her own parent, and she did beyond. She did beyond. She shared a very special bond with my dad. Sherlyn, you can definitely share after this. It totally got out of my, it slipped out of my head. She ran around, she brought Chintu, she made sure Chintu was okay, because Chintu was suffering a lot through that time. He wanted to go out and, you know, catch some air. She did it. And my dad would eat Sherlyn's head and say, "Enak idu vaangittu va, enak canteen la adu vaangittu va." She patiently dodged him. She learned my art, patiently dodging my dad. Nobody can master that art. It takes a lot. It takes at least 6-7 years to know my dad and then dodge him and say, no, I'm not getting you this. But she did it, and she took care of him. She was right there for my mother when I was not there. Thank you, Sherlyn. Thank you so much for holding us up. I wouldn't say help, your love, I really appreciate. We were in that close before, but you called us your own and you helped us out. And I don't know if I'm missing out on someone, but I also want to mention Prasanna Peripa and Perima. They have been there for a very long time. So like my dad was for Saumyaka and Niranjan Bava, Prasanna Peripa and Vanaja Perima were for all three of us when we first came to Bangalore. Every other weekend I was at Christy's house. Christy and I went cycling. And my dad, anything would approach Perima because we were new to Bangalore that time, and she was there for a very long time then. And we could count on her anytime. Because that one time when his BP dropped, there also they said you just brought him on time in December. That is December 2023. You just brought him on time. He came in a very pathetic, miserable, deplorable state. I couldn't bear to see him that day also. I still remember the t-shirt he was wearing. But they brought him on time to Baptist and they stood by him. So thank you, Perima. Thank you, Peripa. Thank you, Christy, for all the support that you gave us, and my Archie, Alex Chitapa, Suresh Chitapa, Chris Mama, my family, Rupata, and Mickey, Madhuri, Auntie, and everybody. They stood by us in our tough times. They really know what was going on. And am I missing out anybody, Mama? We had so many people, guys. That is what we had. So many people. We thank you, and most of all, thank you, God. My gratitude to God for bringing all of you to our lives. If not for y'all, it wouldn't have been this. It really wouldn't have been this. Vanaja ma'am, thank you so much for organizing today. It was commendable. Thank you so much for standing there and being there for my mother. She really appreciated it. She told me that all of this was, organized by you. Ayan ma'am, thank you for taking our quick requests, and that song was very special. The entire flight, I heard that song. It is well with my soul. And I don't know how many of you know the story behind it, but it's deep. You can go and read it. So thank you so much, everybody. Wilson's journey is definitely something that you can talk of. It's a God-written story, and people loved him. Some people didn't, but it's okay. We love him. We love him. He was a joyful man. I got some cards designed. I really would love to have you all pick it up and keep it with you and pray for us as a family. We have mentioned our names. Please keep it. The design is haywire. In the last minute, something went wrong. Please, we'll display the original one there. But remember us in your prayers. Remember us in your thoughts, and keep us with you in your heart. Sherlyn wanted to say a few words. Sherlyn, she's getting the cards. So this one happened at Frankfurt Airport. She texted me, she checked on me, she asked me, are you doing well? Did you eat? And she asked me, do you want me to do something? I immediately designed these cards. I said, please print it. She got them done in a jiffy. Even the portrait, you see, it's beautiful. I love this. Thank you so much. Like, genuinely, thank you so much. And the first thing I saw when I walked into my house was this. And I just stood there for a minute. And today, all of you are there, but the void hasn't still settled in. But I believe God will strengthen us. And every time I see this picture, I don't know. The truth is, I don't want to go back. But my dad wouldn't want it that way. My dad wouldn't want me to drop. Many a times I considered dropping my master's and coming back and getting a job here. And, my dad wouldn't want it that way. And I keep telling my mom, I'll stay here for you. The thing is, I can't go there and survive alone. Because at the end of the day, I'm alone there. There's nobody, and that distance is hard. So, yeah, Sherlyn, please, I can just go on.
I prayed and came that I will not break down, because until I went back home after the burial, my mind was fully conscious about the things have to go well. It didn't sink in much. She asked me to speak and I started writing down. I broke badly and I decided I wouldn't write because it's hurting. And I was sitting here and most of the things, a lot of people, everyone spoke everything that I wanted to mention. But yeah, quickly, I would not take much time because it's already late. I would say this. God is good and He's always better than who we think He is. Yesterday when Uncle passed away, this is the only thing that kept ringing in my mind, because we've seen him struggle, we've seen him in and out of the ventilator, seen him groan in pain, suffer, cry, pray. So, he never, one thing that I would say, few things I wanted to mention. A lot of people spoke about a lot of things, but I wanted to mention few things that I would want to implement in my life, which I learned through him. He was a great teacher. Like, ma'am is a great teacher, but he too was a great teacher. And one thing that I would really, love to implement in my life from Wilson Uncle's life is he was a person of gratitude. He was grateful for every little thing. Even if I would take a glass of water and give him, he would say thank you. To an extent that one day I told him, too many thank yous, he said, he looked at me and he smiled. The smallest things I did, he would be very grateful. And he was not like that only with me. Throughout, he will get irritated with people, nurses, the staff there. But end of the day, at least to one of the nurses, he will say thank you. He expressed his gratitude from his heart, and I would love to do that, because at times we are not very grateful for the little things that people do for us. But I would really stand up here and say that he was a man of gratitude, and he was so thankful to God for everything that God did for him. He always used to tell me a lot of stories. I loved, all of you all who spoke, knew him for many years. I know him for few months, and for him to narrate his life story was a great thing. All the time that I got with him is in the hospital. He would be in pain. They might even sedate him a few times, because we would it'll be a place where he will be so much in pain and he'll be frustrated with everything around. But he would still choose to tell me stories of Chennai stories, VK Pudur stories, his mom, ma'am. He would tell about everyone, and not once has he spoken bad about anyone. Not even, he will never even, whatever it is, everyone have a different story with people. If you ask me, I have a lot of people in my life, my dad, my aunts and everyone. I would at least have one thing that I don't like in them, but he never, even if it was there, he never spoke it out. He always used to highlight the good things in people, appreciate life like nobody else. And I was thinking about few things. A lot of people spoke about his willpower, but he was also a man of wisdom. One day he was sitting with him in the ward, and I was attending my office call, and it was a big escalation, and I had to take the call for the meeting. And I was sitting. They came and gave him his injection, and he was looking at me, and he was hearing me speak in the call. And at one point, I said, I told them I'll come to office next week, and I will decide on what has to be done. It was regarding a import and export decision which I had to take in my business. I kept my phone, I hung my phone, and then I was just sitting. He looked at me and he explained few things to me. With 3 minutes he had a talk with me, and then I was ready with my decision. I knew that God had he feared God, and he was full of wisdom, and he invested that wisdom in my life. And to be very honest, whatever he told me that day, I implemented it in my business, and it is going well. And I'm so grateful to God for his wisdom. He was a man of integrity. I've never seen someone like him, because I closely journeyed with him. Even if someone, when I was small, if my mom will come and ask me, "Fridge-la irundha chocolate engena?" I would have eaten it, but I would still say I didn't eat. But if ma'am every evening she'll come after school to see him, enna panninga innaiku sonna, he will even tell that the number of juices he drank to the biscuits he had, which he is not supposed to drink, which he is not supposed to eat. He knows that if he tells, she will definitely tell him the biggest, even if she gets irritated, one standard statement ma'am will always use it. Even if she's angry or irritated that he's eating like this or drinking juice and spoiling his health, she'll say, "Enna will say ipdi pandringa." That is her peak of anger statement. I've never seen someone full of love can be angry like her. She'll just say, "Enna will say ipdi pandringa." Yen kekka maat. I will be wondering, even if she's angry, she's irritated, she's so loving. And I really appreciate that from you, ma'am, and I've learned it from you too. And more than being honest, that's a simple thing. Even if his doctor used to come and ask him, they used to give him diet food. He hated what they gave. He extremely hated what they gave. But end of the day, if I'm not able to manage, I'll give her a call. I'll say, ma'am, சொன்ன உடனே she'll just say, வில்சன் நீங்கள் இப்போ கொடுக்குறத சாப்பிடுங்க, நான் ஈவினிங் வரும்போது உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது ஸ்நாக் எடுத்துகிட்டு வரேன். Just because she carries a steel tiffin box of 2 sweets or some kind of a snack, he will just obey so sweetly and he will eat that canteen food. So he was so honest, so loving, full of integrity, and he had great moral values. You know, few things that he has spoken to me, and he's told me that it really, I would be thinking, can someone actually live life out like this? And I'll be wondering, and I've asked him also directly, நிஜமாலே தான் சொல்கிறீங்களா அப்படின்னு கூட கேட்டிருக்கேன். But he had very strong moral values based on the word. He was a person of the word. He always used to speak the word. Even in the hospital, he'll always be listening to கீர்த்தனை கேட்டுட்டு இருப்பாங்க, பாட்டுங்க கேட்டுட்டு இருப்பாங்க. Constantly he'll be listening. And the last thing that I wanted to say is, he had a great sense of humor. In pain, in struggle, in life and death situation also, his humor never died. Once I just wanted to just say, because I see everyone having a straight face, sad. I like the way Pastor Amma said in the morning. She said, as much as we are mourning, we should be grateful to God. I believe joy brings strength. He always had the joy. I know that joy only had strengthened him thus far. Few instances, once we were there in the ICU, and then Ma'am also knows that I always do that. Whole day in the morning, as soon as he gets up, as soon as he comes out of that slight sedation, the only word that he says is angel. Angel, angel, angel. To an extent, one of the nurse came out and she asked, Wilson is a Christian name. He's calling angels. She's a new nurse. I knew that she's just mentioning her name. And then before even the counseling could start, they gave me the permission, which Baptist never does, to just go tell him to stop calling angels. So I went inside and I didn't know what to tell him. It was very sweetly, he was there, and the doctors are saying his BP is too low and all, and he's sitting inside. As soon as I go inside, he says, நான் பொங்கல் வடை கேட்டேன், நான் பொங்கல் வடை கேட்டேன், they giving me idli. So he refused to eat. So they're saying if he's not eating, his BP won't, even if we give him medicine, the BP won't go high. And I'm saying, நீங்கள் எதுக்கு இப்படி ஏஞ்சல்னு கத்திட்டு இருக்கீங்கன்னா, எனக்கு பொங்கல் வடை வேணும் அப்படின்னு. And then finally we arranged there are around 30 beds in that ICU, only he had pongal vada. He made sure that he got the pongal vada, and then I told him, இப்படி angel கத்திட்டு இருக்காதீங்க, உங்க angel is waiting in the ஊஞ்சல், so you please come out. So every time he gets inside in the ICU, I go see him, I'll tell him the same statement. Your angel is waiting in the ஊஞ்சல், please put a diet, maintain your diet, and please come out. And one of the other instances, this is the most funny incident that happened. He had to go for a surgery. He had to I think they had to remove his catheter. And ma'am had a board meeting and she couldn't come and she couldn't give any excuse, so she was stuck. And then me and Chintu were there that morning. We went and relieved ma'am, and she left around 7:30, and me and Chintu were there. And then they came, they prepped him for the surgery and all, and they took him inside the operation theater, and they said it'll take another 1 or 2 hours for him to come out, and we decided we'll just take a walk and have some quick bite and come back. We just stepped down in the lift and we got a call saying the doctors are calling you all. And me and Chintu are agitated, thinking what went wrong. He's just gone for the surgery, and we rushed and ran through the ramp and we went, and the doctors are happily bringing him out of the ice from the operation theater. And I'm asking, and he's smiling and he's giggling, he's laughing basically. He's in pain, but big wide smile. And he had, he had a naughty kind of a smile sometimes. He'll be very cute like a baby. And he's doing all those, he's giving me all those expressions. And me and Chintu are agitated, wondering what is going wrong and why did they call. So the doctors came and they said, no, his hemoglobin is less, so we cannot take him for the surgery now. And I went mad. I yelled at the doctor saying, before even you could take him inside, you should have checked on the hemoglobin. And they said, no, yesterday's report was fine. But today we don't know, unfortunately. You have to arrange 2 units of blood. And all this is happening outside the operation theatre, and we're walking towards the ward. And we go inside the ward, and serious discussion is happening. They shifted him to the bed. And I'm looking at him and saying, நீங்க இதுக்கு தான் சாப்பிடாதீங்கன்னு சொன்னேன், ஒழுங்கா டயட் இருக்குன்னு சொன்னேன், உள்ள போயிட்டு வெளியே வந்துட்டீங்க. And he's smiling at me. And the doctors are saying 2 units of blood. And we are saying, okay, and my blood group was the same blood group. And I already arranged for 1 unit, and they said, we'll give 1 unit now. If it again drops, we will infuse the 2nd unit. So I said, why to search for someone else? I was telling the doctors, I can also give. He said, okay, you can give. His immediate statement, he's in pain. He had to go for the surgery. He's in his surgery. He's lying down, he's saying, அவள் ரத்தத்தோட கொஞ்சம் எனக்கு கொழுப்பும் சேர்த்து கொடுத்துருவா. நான் இப்போ தான் யூடியூப்பில் ஹார்லிக்ஸ் வீடியோ பார்த்துட்டு I wanted to drink Horlicks and lose weight. Everyone bursted laughing in the ward. The doctor is laughing, nurses are laughing, all of us are laughing. And then I asked him, அப்போ நான் உங்களுக்கு ரத்தம்லாம் தரல அப்படின்னா, இல்லை நான் சும்மா தான் சொன்னேன் அப்படின்னு. So he was full of joy, full of fun, as much as he went through pain. Even in the day that he passed away, I had come. I consider it as a great privilege, and I thank you for calling me home to pray with him. You know, I came and I was the last one who prayed with him. And then before I could pray, the first thing he would always do is, he will first ask me every time, ஏன் வரல என்ன பார்க்க. And நான் அன்றைக்கி I thought he will ask me ஏன் என்னை பார்க்க வரல. He told me, கேட்டுட்டு தான் வரணுமா அப்படின்னு. he scolded. And ma'am asked him, தெரியுதா யார் அப்படின்னு. He was almost not very conscious. He was deteriorating so badly, gasping for breath. He said, Sherlyn. And then there was a pastor alongside me, and he was asking about him. And when we prayed, and I prayed with him in the room, and I spoke to him about few things, and we partook in the communion and all that. And in the end, before he gave his breath, I think half an hour to 35 minutes to 40 minutes before he passed away, I just happened to walk inside. He was trying to say something. He looked at me and said, Yesu. I had tears in my eyes, and I know that he, as much as he had a great grit, willpower, boldness, he fought a very good, when they say, 2 Timothy, everyone quotes that, fought a good fight. Apart from a lot of people I've seen, but he's one of them who has fought a great fight. But as much as he believed in his willpower, he also believed in God's will, and he surrendered to God's will so beautifully. And I wanted to end my tribute with 2 verses which just kept ringing in my heart when all this was happening. Is Isaiah 57 verse 1 and 2 from the Message version. It says, God-fearing people are out of their misery. They lived well and with dignity, and now they are finally at peace. So he lived well with great dignity, and he's finally at peace. Ma'am, I would take another minute to appreciate you. I've never seen anyone so devoted and dedicated like you. You were so devoted, you were so dedicated, full of love. And as someone mentioned, I had written this down, you're a testament of Proverbs 31. I think you should be writing a book on that, because you have championed that, and you have lived life with great patience and great love. I'd be a great fail if I don't mention about Chintu. Everything that I bear witness to everything that Cheryl spoke. He was so patient, full of love, full of joy. And one thing that I learned from Chintu is anger management. As soon as, to the extent peak of irritation, the least that he will do is, he'll walk out of the room and take a walk and come back with the same smile. He would not even open his mouth and yell or try to say something. I really appreciate you, Chintu. I love you so much. And Cheryl said that they are all confused because she said, are you his younger daughter? The reason is, every time someone comes inside the room, they will check daughter. There are so many places ma'am has told daughter, and I've signed in those places too. And every time a nurse or a doctor asks him, is she your daughter? He would never say no. He would first say, my daughter is in US. இவளும் என் பொண்ணு தான். So what a big privilege. I'm not born into the Wilson family or the Isaac family, but I still got a status from him. I'll really miss my drives with him. No, he would love to sit. We used to have a small pit stop. That is, we get inside from discharge from the hospital. 100 meters, we'll have a pit stop in the emergency canteen. So I'll miss all my pit stops with him in the emergency canteen. And being in Bangalore, I didn't know about Peach Melba, and he gave me a big background about it. And we ordered and had it together. And I would thank him for a lot of things. I thank all of you all for being there for ma'am. And I would end it by saying, I would end it by reading the second verse. I was praying for you all this evening, and God gave me a word, and I really wanted to release it over you. Exodus 34:10, and he said, "Behold, I make a covenant before all your people. I will do marvels such have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation, and all the people among whom you shall see the work of the Lord." I'll read that again. "And all the people among whom you are shall see the work of the Lord in your life, for it is an awesome thing that I will do with you." Now, in a death house, everyone will say, "Sorry for your loss, condolences. We are there for you." But I don't want to say that. No, I'm there for you. I would put this the other way around. Emmanuel, God is with you. He will be there with you, and you'll always be at the right time, at the right place, meeting the right kind of people, and everything that God has for you will be fulfilled. Thank you.
My daughter missed out on few things which I would like to tell. Wilson and I are married for 27 years. Just one thing about our relationship that I would like to highlight here. Wilson has always kept me at a higher pedestal than him. Right from the day one, when we started our life together in Calcutta, he was working for CRY and I was working in a school. When we used to get our pay package, most of the months it used to be more than him. And he would say, "Angel, I always wanted you to be in a better position than I am." And that he has always encouraged me. He would allow me to pursue my education. My son was just 1 year old, and he sent me to Calcutta for a month to do my TEFL course. He wanted me to rise in my position. He was never jealous of anybody or myself raising in my position. He wanted me to go abroad. He said, "You do, I'll take care." And if I'm in this position, I owe it totally to my husband, Wilson John. Many families, they would not allow their wives to work when they are not in a position. But it doesn't matter, even if I am not in a position, I'll hold my head high because you make me proud. That was what I could say about him. He always wanted me to be at the highest position, not just for me, but for my children as well. So that is a relationship that I shared, and it will definitely be a great loss for us, and the void will be there. I do not know how I'm going to overcome, especially in this big house. Once Valentina leaves, it would be just Chintu and I. But then I know that my support or pillar of support is my family. I owe it to my eldest brother and my sister-in-law and my nephew, who is here. She's also a working mother. she has to go every Monday and she slogs a lot, but she makes it a point to be with us on Sunday and spend the day with us. Now the situation may change. Earlier it was because of Wilson, they used to come. Now probably they may invite us and Chintu and I would go there. So I thank my brother. Similarly, my second brother, he's not expressive, though he expressed here. He is a child in our house. Among four of us, when I say Mickey is always, he would not be involved in anything. He would always be at a distance. The one who works is my eldest brother. And my youngest brother is in States. He could not make it. But he was appreciable for the service that went on today. And when, on the day when Wilson passed away, we were taking the body. First thing I told my sister-in-law, Rupa, Vadana, Wilson is gone. And I told my brother-in-law, Alex. Only these two people I called. And they brought everything together. So this is the family that who have stood by me, and I'm sure they will stand by me. Anything, it is always to Christopher or to Alex. Sometimes I would have, not had money to pay up some bills. I would immediately call up Alex. Alex, konja kaas podriya? Madini, odane podren. So that was a reaction I used to get from him. So thank you, my family, and Vanajaka and Prasannata. They were also always close to me. So from my bottom of my heart, I thank you so much. On the day when Wilson passed away, we were about to take the body to the mortuary. My sister-in-law said, Angel, for how many people should I order food? People are there at home and we will order food. And I was just about to tell her the number when our manager and Miss Doris, they came forward and said, Ma'am, 3 days you're not going to cook anything. We shall take care. And they did take care of us like their own family. Das is here. Das would come and ask me, Ma, நாளைக்கு என்ன பண்ணணும்? எத்தனை மணிக்கு உங்களுக்கு breakfast வேணும்? So that was, the people who have gone out of their way to help us and serve us. I'm grateful and thankful to all that they have done these 3 days. And then in this arrangement, I never expected. I was thinking of a different place, a venue. But last night I called Mr. Rajshekhar and I said, Enta kekamiye neenga idellam pottinga. And along with him, Mr. Prathapan, our manager, had also accompanied. He said, Ma'am, you don't have to worry about all this. We are doing it for you. You don't have to be bothered about any budget or anything. And that is how Mr. Prathapan, Das, thank you so much for giving us sumptuous, tasty, timely meal and giving us coffee and tea whenever we wanted. And I would like to, Mr. Prathapan is here. Doris, they were also there. Doris was always there. She would pitch in, she would go to the kitchen, take the plates, serve people. She went out of her way. And she did everything. And I owe my gratitude to Doris and to Mr. Prathapan. And the next in line are the teachers. I never expected that so many people will be around when Wilson is breathing his last. He was fine. We never thought he would go away or pass away. But teachers at evening at around 3 o'clock after school, they did not even go home, tired as they were. They walked into my house here and they said, "We are here. We will take care, ma'am." I said, "Teachers, you please go home. You had a tiring day." They were there. And maybe, that was all God's calling and God's arrangement that he should not pass away alone. And the last breath when he was taking, Jaker was there, Pauline was there, and immediately all the teachers who were there rushed into that room. Had you all not been there, I do not know how I would have faced that particular moment. Thank you, teachers. My gratitude and my heartfelt thanks to all of you. And I would also like to thank the Secretary of Divya Shanti Church, Mr. Samson. He used to text me and say, "Akka, anything, you just let me know. I'll be there in a minute. Or in a moment, I'll be there, Akka. Don't hesitate." And that was the support I received from the church. Similarly, I owe my complete gratitude, and I am, nobody else, I think, as a pastor would come out of the way and ask, "Ayya, eppadi irukanga?" And that was Reverend Mary Shalini, the presbyter in charge of Divya Shanti Church, where we worship Sunday after Sunday. Though I don't go and meet Airamma, if I bump into her, first question is, "Ayya, eppadi irukanga amma? Nanga jevam pannitrukom." And in a short notice that day, I told Samson, "I want Airamma to come and give communion to Wilson." Within no time, within I think a few minutes, no, Samson, he arranged and Airamma was here. Again, I'm so thankful and grateful to all of you. Samson and Reverend Mary Shalini, thank you so much. And I always tell, our campus has 5 pastors. So it's a blessed place. Reverend Shubha, she is the wife of the warden where we have our boys, just across the ground. And whenever we wanted Airamma to talk or lead the worship, she was ready. She would never refuse. Sometimes pastors get busy and they don't turn up, and if she is there, she would take the lead. Thank you, Reverend Shubha. And Reverend Louis Nelson, he's new. He has taken up as the assistant presbyter of St. John's Church. One day I called him and I requested him again on a very short notice. I said, Pastor, you need to lead the investiture ceremony. And he said, rightly he said, no inhibitions and no, you know, some of them they say, oh, I'm busy, I cannot. Sure, ma'am, I'll be there. Not just one occasion, and a couple of occasions following that, Pastor was always obliging. Even, and he stays now, currently he stays in Whitefield. And with the traffic of Bangalore, he sees that he comes every Friday. I think 2 weeks, Pastor, you had taken a Friday staff fellowship, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock we have a staff fellowship every Friday, and Pastor wonderfully leads that short prayer fellowship. Thank you, Pastor. And many people are with us. I should thank Benjamin, Stella. Anytime I call them, they are there. Again, they will never say, அம்மா கொஞ்சம் வேலை இருக்கு நான் முடிச்சிட்டு வரேன். Benjamin, when sometimes I take a walk here, Benjamin also comes out. We have a long chat. That was the people I'm surrounded here with. Thank you, friends. Thank you, family. God bless you all.
Thank you for those meaningful tribute, full of emotions, memory, and pure love. Yes, indeed, a brave man, wonderful father, a responsible husband, and a faithful servant of God. Praise be to God. We shall conclude this prayer meeting with a closing prayer. Reverend Louis Nelson.
அனைவரும் எழுந்து நின்று வில்சன் ஐயாவுடைய வாழ்வுக்கு நன்றி செலுத்துகின்ற வாயிலாக அவரை நோக்கி நாம் மன்றாடுவோம். அன்பின் நிறைவா எங்களோடு கூட பயணம் செய்கின்ற ஆண்டவரை மை போற்றுகின்றோம், நன்றி படைக்கின்றோம். கடலிலே பயணிக்கின்ற அந்த படகின் பயணத்தைப் போலவே எங்கள் வாழ்வை நீர் அமைத்து, அந்த வாழ்விலே அலைகள் போன்ற இரைச்சல்கள் வந்த பொழுதிலும் கவிழ்ந்து விழாத வண்ணமாக எங்களை தாங்கி பிடித்து இந்நாள் வரைக்கும் இந்த குடும்பத்தினரை நீர் சுமந்து வந்திருக்கிறதற்காக நாங்கள் நன்றி செலுத்துகின்றோம். கடல் இரைச்சல் போன்ற வில்சன் ஐயாவுடைய வாழ்விலே வந்த உடல் ரீதியாக இருந்த அனைத்து பாடுகளையும் இறையாதே அமைதியாக இரு என்று சொன்ன வார்த்தைகளுக்காக நாங்கள் நன்றி செலுத்துகின்றோம். அத்தகைய அமைதியை அவர் காணவும் உம்மோடு கூட இளைப்பாறு கொண்டிருக்கின்றார் என்ற விசுவாசத்திலே நாங்கள் அனைவரும் உமக்கு நன்றி செலுத்துகின்றோம். அதே போன்று இப்பொழுதுமாக கொந்தளித்திருக்கின்ற இறைச்சலோடு இருக்கின்ற அந்த பாடுகள், இந்த குடும்பத்தினரோடு கூட இருக்கின்ற அந்த பாடுகளை இறையாதே அமைதியாக இரு என்று உம்முடைய திருவார்த்தைகளை இந்த குடும்பத்தினருக்கு நீர் கொடுக்க வேண்டும் என்று மன்றாடுகின்றோம். நல்ல மகனாக, நல்ல கணவராக, நல்ல தகப்பனாக, நல்ல சகோதரனாக, நல்ல நண்பனாக, நல்ல ஒரு விசுவாசியாக இந்த உலகத்திலே வாழ்ந்து அவர் ஓட்டத்தை முடிக்கவும், அவருடைய நினைவு மறந்து போகாத வண்ணம் அவருடைய குடும்பம் அதை தாங்கி பிடித்து கொள்ளவும், அவருடைய பழக்கங்கள், அவருடைய கொள்கைகள், அவருடைய விசுவாசத்தை இந்த குடும்பத்தினரும் சாட்சியாக கேட்டு நாங்கள் அனைவரும் அதை கடைபிடிக்க உதவி செய்தல் வேண்டும் என்று மன்றாடுகின்றோம். அருமையாக அவருடைய குடும்பம், அவருடைய மனைவி ஏஞ்சலின் அவர்களுக்காகவும், அவருடைய இரு பிள்ளைகளுக்காகவும், குறிப்பாக வில்சன் ஐயாவுடைய தாயாருக்காகவும், உடன்பிறப்புகள், சகோதர சகோதரிகள் அனைவருக்காக நாங்கள் நன்றி செலுத்தி மன்றாடுகின்றோம். அவர்கள் கொடுத்திருக்கின்ற ஞானத்திற்காகவும் பக்குவத்திற்காகவும் நாங்கள் நன்றி செலுத்தி, தொடர்ந்து அவர் பிரிந்திருக்கின்ற இந்த நேரத்தில் இந்த குடும்பத்திற்கு உடைய ஆறுதலையும் ஆற்றலும் நிறைவாக வழங்க வேண்டும் என்று முடித்தில் மன்றாடுகின்றோம். அனைவரும் பகிர்ந்து கொண்ட வார்த்தைகள் வாயிலாக இந்த குடும்பத்திற்கு நீர் ஆறுதல் அளித்ததற்காக நன்றி செலுத்துகின்றோம். கேட்ட உம்முடைய திருவார்த்தைகள் வழியாக இந்த குடும்பத்திற்கு நீர் ஆற்றல் படுத்தினதற்காக நாங்கள் நன்றி செலுத்துகின்றோம். தொடர்ந்து அவர் ஏற்றி வைத்திருக்கின்ற இந்த ஒளியை குடும்பத்தினரும் விசுவாசிகளாக இருக்கின்ற நாங்களும் என்றைக்கும் நினைவுகூறு வண்ணமாக உம்முடைய வார்த்தைகளோடு கூட நாங்கள் தொடர்ந்து பயணம் செய்ய உதவி செய்தல் வேண்டும் என்று மன்றாடுகின்றோம். வந்திருக்கின்ற ஒவ்வொருவரையும் நீர் ஆசீர்வதியும். இந்த உறவும் இந்த கூட்டுறவும் எப்பொழுதும் பிரிந்து போகாத வண்ணம் உம்முடைய அன்பையும் உம்முடைய ஐக்கியத்தையும் கொண்டாடுகின்ற கூட்டமாக நீர் நிலைத்திருக்க வேண்டும் என்று மன்றாடுகின்றோம். உம்முடைய சமாதானம் எங்கள் அனைவரோடு கூட, குறிப்பாக ஏஞ்சல் அம்மாவோடு கூட அவருடைய பிள்ளைகளோடு கூட இந்த குடும்பத்தோடு கூட நிறைவாக தங்கியிருக்க வேண்டும் என்று உயிர்த்தெழுந்த ஆண்டவர் இயேசு கிறிஸ்து வழியாக வேண்டுகின்றோம் எங்கள் நல்ல இறைவா. ஆமென்.
என் ஆத்துமாவே கர்த்தரை ஸ்தோத்திரி. தாழ்மையோடு கடவுளுடைய ஆசீர்வாதத்தை பெற்றுக்கொள்வோம். நம்முடைய ஆண்டவராகிய இயேசு கிறிஸ்துவின் கிருபையும் பிதாவாகிய ஆண்டவருடைய அன்பும் பரிசுத்தாவின் தூய வழிநடத்தலும் சமாதானமும் பிரசன்னமும் இன்றும் என்றும் சதா காலம் உங்கள் அனைவரோடும் விசேஷ விதமாக வில்சன் ஜான் அவர்களை இழந்து தவிக்கின்ற அவருடைய மனைவி, பிள்ளைகள், தாயார், உறவுகள் அனைவரோடும் கூட இருந்து கர்த்தர் தாமே உங்களை வழிநடத்துவாராக. ஆமென். Jeremiah, please be assured of our prayers and support. Thank you.
Please be seated. I think dinner is ready. To honor Wilson as he's a pure vegetarian, we have ordered specially for him, in memory of him, a complete vegetarian meal prepared by Tamil Brahmins. And before that, I would also like to thank Muthu and Mr. Charles for the physical arrangements of everything. And I just have to, he's only a call away. Muthu, let people see who you are. I only have to tell, Muthu, idu koncha chesestara. Ma'am, that's his answer. Arrangement at home, arrangement here, anything, any electronic gadget. I don't even have to tell Charles. Muthu is enough. Thank you, Muthu. God bless you. Please, can you all have your dinner?
The menu is my dad's favorite items. We have curated it because he loves vegetarian food. And so please have it with all your heart and enjoy the meal. That's what Wilson loved.
Thank you, everyone, for gracing this occasion. Please have your meal. Thank you, pastors. Can you just give the grace and then we can start?